Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. Here's what's coming up on the Owen Report today. All right, well, we're going to do something similar to what we did yesterday with the Epstein files. And obviously, as we're continuing to go through all of the files, there's new developments, new discoveries. And so I don't have as much as yesterday as far as the files themselves are concerned. I think we got about 20 or 30 different pieces of the files today. Again, some of the most disturbing, gruesome content. We're just going to read directly from them. We're going to be documenting this for you again today, just like we did yesterday. I suspect we've got about maybe 30 minutes to an hour of that. Not as much, as I said, maybe about half as much as yesterday. We've whittled it down to some of the more disturbing stuff, some of the more, let's say, has more real-world implications. Let's put it like that. So we're going to be doing that, but then we do have a bunch of news. Seems like the normal news cycle outside of the Epstein files is starting to pick back up. Now, I will say, it's news alone how these files have just been ignored. There was a blip. There was a blip on CNN. There was a blip on MS Now, formerly MSNBC. In case you didn't know, it's MS Now. I think I saw a mention on Fox News, but not any real coverage. And then you see this new twisting of the narrative. You can't even make this stuff up. It's actually hilarious. Or it would be if the files weren't so gruesome and the implications weren't so real. Oh, they're spinning it now. And they're saying, oh, Epstein must have worked for Russia. Epstein must have worked for the Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, this stuff is hilarious, even though it's right there in the files. He worked with Mossad. He worked with Israeli intelligence. He worked with the Rothschilds. And obviously, the protection was probably because he was a U.S. intelligence asset as well. Who knows the connections to the royal family in Europe, maybe connected to MI6. But of course, even though there's no Putin in the emails, he's Russian. He's Russian. He's Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, it's so amazing to watch these people sell out. But I guess it's all good for the process. Now you know who's a total liar, who's a total sellout, and who's not. So at least you get that out of it. But speaking of the news, let's see what we have here. Oh, yeah. Congress is stunned. We're not going to get anything out of these Epstein files as far as arrests are concerned. But we do have some statements we may get to. There's more news now. Congress has just passed another bill. You won't believe who we're giving more money to. Yes, this is in addition to what we covered yesterday. You won't believe who we're giving more money to. Now, Thomas Massie tried to stop this from happening, and Congress wasn't interested. They wanted to send more foreign aid, more welfare, more funding for abortion. Yes, this is all happening. And then Trump decided he would attack Thomas Massie on this day, that he would be attacking Thomas Massie. It's kind of the real litmus test, I think, for Trump. It's like, well, do we think he's still a good guy? Do we think he's still one of us? Well, why is he attacking Massie like this? That wouldn't make any sense. So that's kind of the measuring stick today as far as how we feel about Trump, I think. A biolab in Las Vegas, they had Ebola and other deadly viruses they were cooking up. Only one arrest so far. They think it might be connected to the California biolab that we heard about a couple years ago. Some news, some geopolitical news, some news out of France. They're going after Elon Musk now. Yeah. Steve Witkoff is on his way to Israel. Actually, he's there now. And then there's some other developments in that sector of the world, let's say. All of that and more coming up on today's Owen Report.
This news update was brought to you by OwenSchroyer.store, the official site for Owen Report merchandise.
All right, guys. You may know of Pastor Joel Webben, but he tells a story here that I want you to hear about. He says he was doxxed again. Phone number, email, church address, home address, and so on and so forth. And so, unfortunately, this doxing, it's happening all too often now, and more people are becoming victims of it. So the question is, what are you doing to protect yourself and your family? And yes, your family as well. Because when this stuff gets out, they can also get private information about your family members. Trust me, I've been there. I know. So you need to protect yourself. You need to protect your family. Go to patriot-protect.com/Owen. That's patriot-protect.com/Owen. So here's the deal. You've heard about it before. We just showed you one example. I can tell you my story. Maybe you even been through it before. In fact, you might even see some of these emails where they come out with these class action lawsuits and they talk about this major company. Maybe you had a subscription and they say, we got hacked, your information got out, there's this class action lawsuit, you can become a part of it. It's all the same thing. Scammers and hackers are able to get your private information online, which you'd be surprised is readily available. People give and sell your private information away online, and then they can scam you. They can commit crimes against you and your family. They can harass you. Whatever these crooks want to do, you need to make sure that they don't have access to the private information that you want to protect so that they can't do it. So right now, here's what we're offering at patriot-protect.com/Owen, a 15% off a yearly subscription. 15% off yearly subscription with coupon code Owen. Remember that coupon code. Coupon code Owen gets you 15% off your yearly subscription. Here's why Patriot Protect is so good. Not only are they going to get all of that private information that you don't want on the internet off the internet, then their security teams are running 24/7 around the clock to make sure it never pops up again. And if it does, they immediately remove it. Don't become a victim. Be proactive. Get ahead of this now. You have no idea what kind of troubles you could stop. Trust me, for you and your family. Patriot-protect.com/Owen. And don't forget that coupon code Owen. Don't forget that coupon code Owen for 15% off a yearly subscription.
It's America's home for political play-by-play. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, guys. So as I said, I've got about 20, 30 new as far as yesterday's transmission is concerned. We didn't cover any of these yesterday, but we're still pouring through all of the Epstein files, millions of files, and doing different keyword searches, and some people just scanning and reading everything. And so all kinds of crazy stuff popping up today. And we're gonna do what we did yesterday, as far as we're just gonna kind of read this, we're gonna document this, read directly from the files, not really do any opinion or commentary on it. We can do that afterwards, maybe connect some dots, explain some things, because there's definitely stuff like with the Pizzagate connections, as far as some of the terminology that is clearly coded language that we're seeing in this stuff. There's some of those connections. There's some new connections today. It's amazing how all of this stuff is connected, right? I mean, what are the odds? The odds are impossible. Folks, they're clearly running human trafficking, sex trafficking, child sex abuse, trafficking, molestation. I mean, come on. and to connect it to Pizzagate and Frazzle Drip and Wafergate and all this stuff. It's just so obvious. Now, perhaps I'll start with this, and we'll end up coming back because I ended up scrapping all of this from today's transmission. I had a bunch of clips of Todd Blanche on Fox News these last couple of days, and I ended up scrapping it because I just didn't want to waste the time, and I can kind of just give you the context here. But clearly they are in narrative control. Now, I still believe that this is being used against Trump. I still believe that whatever is responsible for the timing and the selective redactions, whatever the outside influences are, this is being used as leverage against Trump, I think, to try to get him to strike Iran. That's what I think. If I'm looking for the simplest explanation of all of this, why it's happening, that's what I think. And I think that the circumstantial evidence of the selective redactions and the selective timing of it all, because these documents were supposed to come out over a month ago, and they could have easily redacted Trump's name as he asked them to do, and they didn't. And now apparently they are, by the way. Now apparently they are. So, okay, why are they doing it now? Well, maybe if a bomb hits Iran in the next 48 hours or this weekend, maybe that'll give us the answer. By the way, Trump has an envoy in Iran right now with Steve Witkoff talking to Netanyahu. So how can you not believe that all of these things are connected, especially knowing that Epstein was connected to Mossad, the Rothschilds, former Israeli prime ministers, maybe current Israeli prime minister. So we'll try to review all of it. But when I see Todd Blanche going on Fox News and saying, oh, well, not much to see here, there's no need for prosecutions. How can you say that? How can you see what is in some of these files? And how can you say that there's no need for further investigation or prosecution? Now, I guess you could say, well, we already have, and we determined we weren't going to do it. And remember, supposedly all of these deals were cut behind the scenes. This has been, let's say, some of the rumors, and then some victims have come forward and said there were deals cut with a lot of these men behind the scenes so that they wouldn't be prosecuted. So maybe that's why there's not going to be prosecutions, because they already cut deals, just like they cut deals with Epstein. But it is wild. It is wild to watch the mainstream media mostly ignore this. And I guess you understand, you realize that these people don't even live in the real world. And I guess I could give a brief example of this, and then we're going to get into the files today. I'm talking to some family, some friends. We're talking about, let's say boomer-aged people over 50, 60. And they just don't even know about any of this stuff. They've never even heard of it. They don't even know about it. And so it's amazing that there's still that level of control as far as information is concerned, as far as narrative is concerned, when it comes to older generations specifically. It's like, if you're not seeking out your own information, specifically on the internet, maybe more specifically on X, if you're not seeking out your own information, then you don't even know what's really going on. You just have no clue. You don't know about these files. You don't know about the implications. You can't see how they fit in like puzzle pieces to the larger picture of world corruption. But it is crazy to watch the narrative control. And there is 100% narrative control on this. Whether you're ignoring these things intentionally from the mainstream news to the independent news, whether you're ignoring these things intentionally, or whether you're going out here, and we've seen all of these things, whether you're going out here and saying, oh, it's boring, oh, there's nothing to see, oh, it's just people partying on an island, all of this other stuff. You're either intentionally running narrative control intentional deception, or you haven't checked. You just haven't looked for yourself and you're ignorant. There's probably plenty of both to go around. But without further hesitation, let's dive in. Now, isn't it funny? Actually, one more thing before we dive in. Guys, why does this always happen? Why do we always seem to have a Simpsons episode type of a thing going on here? So apparently this is from season 12, episode 6. You can see somebody's uploaded the clip here. Criminal Simpsons is the X account if you want to find this for yourself. And then here's the clip that was uploaded. Mr. X's webpage. X too? Mr. X's webpage. Attention, some crazy creeps on an island somewhere are secretly running the world. Ha! You know, if you were going to put it into, how many words is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you were going to put it into 12 words, can you explain the Epstein files in 12 words? Some crazy creeps on an island somewhere are secretly running the world. Well, you know, you wouldn't be too far off. You wouldn't be too far off. All right, we're going to go into these files now. Like I said, I got about 20 or 30 here, not as much as yesterday. I think we can probably get through this in about half an hour. Some of this stuff is going to be heavy. Some of this stuff is going to be heavy and disturbing, but we go into this now for documenting purposes only. We are going to be reading directly from the files here. We're going to hold off most opinion and color commentary on these files until afterwards, but this is for documentary purposes only. We are not making any accusations. We are not making any allegations, suggestions. We are simply reading from the files for documentary purposes. Okay. So, no rhyme or reason, guys. We're just going to start picking them up and putting them down. All right. First file of the day. From Jeffrey Epstein to Eva Dubin. First email here. Mary Kennedy found dead in her backyard. And then Epstein replies, whoops. Whoops. Okay. This is from a declassified FBI intake form on the Jeffrey Epstein child sex trafficking case from 2020. Enclosed are the following items: graphic capture of viral video. Now, obviously, we haven't seen a lot of these videos, but there are some descriptions in this file. So this is from 2020, July. Dale Martin, date of birth, redacted, cell phone, redacted, residential address, redacted, called the FBI National Threat Operations Center to report a viral video of what appears to be Jeffrey Epstein torturing a young woman with a magnifying glass. Martin provided the following information. Martin's daughter, Jessica McQueen, date of birth, redacted, sent Martin a piece of a video of what appeared to be a young white female aged 11 to 13 years old with dark-colored hair, tied down and naked. The victim is tied to the ground and spread eagle with a man who appears to be Jeffrey Epstein holding a magnifying glass with a claw and burning the victim. Martin described the video as being blurry. However, the male subject appeared to be a very large man with gray hair, wearing jeans, a short-sleeved black shirt, and white tennis shoes. Martin stated Facebook would not take the video down. In the frame of video, it says Epstein. However, the video is blurry. Martin advised that McQueen did not feel comfortable reporting the information. However, her friends are still reporting it. So that's sounds like somebody witnessed something pretty gruesome there, to say the least. From Robert Trivers to Jeffrey Epstein, subject trans. It is very simple. I will compare male to female with female to male. This appears to be talking about transsexual surgeries. With greater molecular control over development, we are increasingly capable of producing novel phenotypes, more feminine men by blocking testosterone receptors or castration, and at the same time increasing estrogen production. The one blocks male features. The second encourages female features. More masculine women, heavy testosterone dosage, incredible external effects. Heavily bearded men, you would never guess they had a female bone in their body. First kind, male to female, is 4 times more frequent than female to male. The first is attractive. He is a woman with a cock, so that if your fantasy is to suck a man, you know what, otherwise are completely heterosexual. It would be a much nicer if the rest of the organism is female, then you get the best of both worlds. So many transsexual women are very attractive and easily make money, which in turn they assert promotes their prostitution, since they have to pay hefty fees for injections every week, but they are sexually happy once you have reached manhood. Even castration does not prevent the sensation of orgasm. I'm assuming that's what it means. It says organism. Contrast the poor female to male versions. They are unhappy and lonely. They are men with mum puns, the worst of both worlds. If you like smelly masculine men, you want that hard penis that comes with the show. You do not want one of nature's more complex and variable structures, the pom-pom, that is acquired taste, and not with a man. There are hundreds of female trans videos websites. I've never seen a male one. By the way, we are now pushing the intervention earlier, so you notice your 3-year-old son has trans tendencies, so now you have to intervene with hormones. I would be frightened to do that, but who knows? So this sounds like not only some sexual fetishes being expressed here, but also experimentation with humans to see what type of trans humans they can basically create here in order to satisfy such fetishes. And then it talks about doing it as young as 3 years old. Now, when you tie this into some of the other stuff that we've seen, not only in the files, but obviously in pop culture, in schools, it seems like there was a larger agenda to normalize this and then also push this to children. And, of course, then you get into the trans issue and the sexualization of kids issue that's been a major political, cultural issue for about 10 years now. This email is from 2018, but as you can see, they were very interested. Epstein must have been for Robert Trivers to send him this email about all the different trans stuff that they were experimenting with and how they felt about it. This is an email, Jeffrey Epstein and Oliver Colomb, who appears, this is from France here. Redacted, he agrees with me. I saw that you sent me an email with a file attached, but the IT guys of the bank blocked it for some security reason. I have a private email that can be used, though, redacted. Besides, Ariane is in the Bordeaux vineyards until Wednesday. It looks like she has no phone or something with her. Sorry about that. Hope you're well. No problem. A friend that built the Beijing import asked if I knew a bank that was interesting. I thought I'd run it by you. If it were good for you, I'm not involved in any way, nor would I expect to be. Very nice of you. Where are you now? On my island in the Caribbean with an aquarium full of girls. On my island in the Caribbean with an aquarium full of girls. Now, we have a follow-up to that email. The king of Saudi Arabia has a few white sharks at his Jeddah palace. I totally prefer yours. I sure would enjoy the view. As two are Russian, I guess some might prefer to them as white sharks. Now, if you pause for a second here, I don't think we're talking about sharks anymore. They say that they're in the aquarium. I don't know if they'd be in the aquarium with sharks, but maybe. I'm guessing white sharks is, it appears, code word for Russian women, maybe a specific type of Russian woman that they call a shark. This is kind of a new one here when we're getting into We're getting into some new coded language, not that we've seen before, like with pizza and some of the other stuff, pasta, hot dogs, that stuff we've seen a lot. This seems to be new stuff. So it's kind of open for interpretation. Some people think it might mean that they're finding some human hybrid species, or it's just a term for some specific type or look of a Russian woman. Getting back to the email, as long as you don't have any hammerhead ones, I like white sharks. No, some are like shrimp. You throw away the head and keep the body. I like shrimp, but not so much if it's too pink, although I'm definitely more into white than into any other color. I like your philosophy. I can't even think of the smell of black shrimp. We are again in agreement. Now, again, very open for interpretation. I don't think we're talking about sharps and shrimp. What's interesting is that we've had other emails in the files where you can clearly see derogatory statements about black people and what appears to be, different men basically saying, I don't want black women around. Whatever women that you're going to have around, I don't want any black women around. So if there's any connecting context, that's really all we can reach for here. But I don't think we're talking about shrimp and sharks. I don't think that's too far of a reach on that front. From Sarah K to Rich Bennett, no subject. Hi, Rich. Jeffrey is asking if you can FedEx the painting he had made of the massacre of the innocents to the ranch. It's the large 9x9 canvas that we had rolled out for him to see in the entryway where they are killing babies. He wants to use it on the ranch and is hoping you could FedEx it to arrive by Wednesday. Thanks, Sarah. Jeffrey Epstein wanted the massacre of the innocents painting in his entryway so he could see it every time people walked in of them killing babies. To Aziza Al-Alamadi, subject Jeffrey Epstein. Hello, Aziza. Hope all is well. Jeffrey would like me to send you a DNA kit called 23andMe. Please let me know what address I should send it to. Thanks. Now, there are other emails indicating it seemed that Epstein was very into testing people's blood, testing their DNA. Now, you can try to figure out why. It could have something to do with they wanted to separate the chosen people from the Goyim, the Jews from the non-Jews. It could be for other things that they were doing at the ranch. We saw other emails where they're talking about Mormon blood. So it could be some of the human experimentation, cloning that they were doing at the Zorro Ranch, and they were looking for specific blood types to run different subjects, to run different tests. But this is an occurring theme here that Epstein wanted to test people's blood and find out their DNA. Oh, and on the pizza front, repetitive pizza code word cited 1,000 times. 1,000 times. You're hearing that. 1,000 times. Yeah, Pizzagate was real. 1,000 times pizza referenced in the Epstein files. And grape soda, I don't think we're talking about a drink, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think we're talking about a drink. And of course, again, this goes back to Pizzagate, WikiLeaks emails we all remember. Or maybe if you weren't there, you don't, but that's a dark path to go down. So I think it's pretty compelling here that Pizzagate was real. From Brian Bishop to J. Brian Bishop, genetic editing continued. Other updates. Proceeding with more mouse testing at my Ukraine lab. Surgeries, microinjection, Ukraine lab. Amateur in Mississippi has been testing human sperm modification. Just fluorescent tagging so far. Doesn't work for my purposes yet. This weekend, I'm heading to a Biohack the Planet conference, is what it looks like here in this link, in San Francisco, Garage Biohacking Conference. I like to implant embryos, wait 9 months, great ending. So we're talking about genetic editing here, and there's other references to this in the files. We covered some of them yesterday, but basically they're talking about designer humans, superhumans, and how they can, I guess, manipulate the sperm or manipulate the process of having a baby or injecting the baby with something after they're born to create a desired effect. So they were clearly very much into this. They had labs in Ukraine. Now, you see this garage reference here, this garage biohacking conference. It seems like there's a difference that we can see now where you basically had, I guess, what you would, for lack of a better description, they would consider some people, let's say it's like an amateur to a professional. So it's like some people were doing it in their homes, in their garages. They had their own labs that they built in their garage, whatever, in their home. And then I guess maybe you had something in Ukraine or other parts in the world, or Epstein in New Mexico. You had professional labs. It's like this was the upper echelon. This was the elite. This was the well-funded. This had all the best equipment. And you're saying, well, this is just a garage hacking conference. Anybody can do it versus here's what we got. This is the pros. So it's like you kind of start over here, you see what you can do, and then you bring it to Epstein, and he decides whether or not he wants to take it on. That seems to be the story here with the context. So this is to Jeffrey Epstein from Redacted. Subject BBC News. BBC News. The Duchess of York is expected to appear on the Oprah Winfrey Show in the U.S. days after she was filmed allegedly trying to sell access to her ex-husband. You know, there's probably more context needed here. You know, the thing that I found interesting, okay, here's Epstein connected to the royals again, but it's like, did they really think Oprah would be their friend? It's like, that's when you start to run into like the eyes wide shut territory, or, you know, it's like, oh, you go to police, they're part of it. Oh, you go to the media, they're part of it. You know? Mm-hmm. From Jeffrey Epstein to Peter Thiel. Here we go. Brexit, just the beginning. There's a lot of other Brexit stuff. Of what? There's a lot of other Brexit stuff in here. Thiel in here as well. Return to tribalism, counter to globalization, amazing new alliances. You and I both agree zero interest rates were too high. As I said in your office, finding things on their way to collapse was much easier than finding the next bargain. So this is just part of Peter Thiel being in these emails. And you can talk about the politics of it. You can talk about the culture of it. But it leaves me, you know, going back to what we've been talking about on the show, that the elites are expecting a collapse and that all of this is just building to some collapse, and they're just racing to the finish line, getting as much assets as they possibly can before the collapse that the rest of us will have to deal with and, you know, struggle to survive. From Ken T to Redacted. Subject, young girl here in Mexico. This is from 2019. She has identified Ghislaine Maxwell as a woman who came to Richard Marchenko's home in Mexico many times in 2010 and 2011 with Nancy Marchenko to set up sexual trips for her when she was 10 or 11 years old. We know of death threats against her because of testimony she gave in 2018 against Kelly, Biden, and Wayne in the sex abuse case in Mexico. Biden and Wayne in the sex abuse case in Mexico. Right now, we have her in a safe location. We want to help you guys, but we also need to protect her, her son, and her guardian. Now, I'm not sure exactly who they're referencing here as far as they're keeping her in a safe location or what exactly that's in reference to. We don't know who Ken T is. But I think the context of this email leave very little to the imagination. This appears to be a child sex trafficking email. And then the names in it, very consequential. From Eddie Aragon to redacted, subject confidential Jeffrey Epstein. This is one of the disturbing ones, guys. And actually, that's the response. If you go back here, from redacted to redacted, confidential Jeffrey Epstein. Looks like at least 3 different names on this email, but hard to tell. Could be 2. Edward, this is sensitive, so it will be the first and last email, depending on your discretion. You can choose to take it or trash it, but this comes from a person that has been there and seen it all as a former staff at the Zorro. Assuming this is the Zorro Ranch, Jeffrey Epstein, New Mexico. The material below was taken from Jeffrey Epstein's home as my insurance in case of future litigation against Epstein. Sorry, no questions. Sounds like blackmail protection, legal protection. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written. Did you know somewhere in the hills outside of Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey Epstein and Madame G. Madame G. Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex. Here are the video footage of Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this is obviously just text in this email. Says sex video with a minor, threesomes, underage girl names another person here, underage girl, rape fantasy, girl from Bay Area, suicide attempt, confession to Madam G, audio, 7 links here. Now, we don't have these videos. I doubt we ever will, but I assume somebody does. At least who's ever emailing here has them, because this was his legal protection. And then I guess this is a demand. Please arrange for 1 Bitcoin by 6 p.m. today, Thursday, November 2019, to the Bitcoin wallet address, and then it's linked here. Yeah. That's one of the more disturbing ones. Here's a text message exchange between Redacted and Harry Fish. I don't think that's a real name. It turns out that Fish is coded language for other sexual fetishes. We won't get into it. Could be a real name, but I have a feeling that's a code name. And then based off of what we see in this exchange, I think it would make sense. Sultan wants to replace bionic dick with new Swiss version. What's different, surgeon? You're joking, I hope. Nope. Goyim. I'm not even, I think that one kind of speaks for itself. We won't even, yeah. These are iMessages. Sender redacted. Participants redacted. It does look like what we see here is a Jeffrey Epstein's iTunes, J-E-E iTunes. Kid is taking placement text this week, or text next week. I gave her all the information. This is tough. The kid couldn't have done bikini wax because hair are too short. Next time, Do it to her and Elena's nails. Kid will come to the house straight from Frederick with iPad portfolio. Done with Pornhub introduction. Sounds like we are introducing young women to the adult film industry. And I would just say that there are two names that have really dug into this, that are sharing this and covering this. And I apologize if I'm messing their names up right now. I believe it's Lisa Metkoviak, something like that. And then Arden Young, who got behind the scenes and did some behind the scenes content with these groups. And this is unfortunately not uncommon. It's it's like they decide what they're going to do with you at a young age, and will either send you to the industry like we see in this, or we'll send you to the island, or we'll send you to the lab, or we'll send you to the grave. From Redacted to Jeffrey Epstein, I'm a little confused what you are up to, or Ian, is up to. Are you staying with Rupert too? Can you tell me a little bit about Ian as well? Is his home base Carmel? Ian is staying with Rupert Murdoch and his wife. That's what I am up to. Probably significant considering a media reaction, don't you think? Two redacted from Roy Hodges. Subject, Jeffrey Epstein's island. Let's go down to the beginning here. Hope you have a fabulous vacation. And then you see these are different cells. Roy's cell, Stephanie's cell, Daphne's cell, Dr. Ting's cell. Always had doctors down there, huh? Hope you have a fabulous vacation. Thank you, assistant to Jeffrey Epstein. Hello, Dr. Ting. Jeffrey would like you to enjoy a day on his island during your vacation. We can have you and your family picked up from St. John on whatever day is convenient for you, brought to Jeffrey's Island to play with his toys. They even put the toys in parentheses here. Toys. You can only imagine what that is. And have some lunch. I have CC'd Jeffrey's Island managers, Roy and Stephanie, as well as Daphne, who works in Jeffrey's office on St. Thomas. They can assist in coordinating with you. Please let us know what day would work, and they can make it, take it from there. That is incredibly generous of Jeffrey. I will get back to you shortly about timing. Good morning, Dr. Ting. Just checking to see if a certain day would work for you to have some fun on Jeffrey's Island. Let us know. Thanks. Would Friday work for your schedule? That would be the best day for us. The party consists of myself, my friend Michelle, and her 3 kids, 8, 8, and 5, and 2 nannies. That's great for us, redacted. I'm not sure if we're talking about such innocent fun here. Nah, I don't think so, guys. 2 redacted from Jeffrey Epstein. Subject, cream cheese baby. There are millions of babies, very little good vegetable cream cheese. LOL. I don't know if cream cheese and baby are on the same level. It's okay. There is still enough time today. I'm trying to schedule priming for 5:30. Fuel explosion, 9:45 p.m. Will bring a new engine startup video. Your guess is as good as mine here, but I doubt we're talking about food, or any of the words used here aren't. It seems like most of this is, if not all of it, code language. Really dark stuff. I'm trying to get through this, and I think we'll be able to do it here before the end of the hour. But it's just like, how can you say that this stuff doesn't matter? How can you say this stuff isn't significant? How can you say, oh, we're just partying on an island? Or, I mean, come on, man. You either are intentionally covering this up for some reason, or you're just ignorant. You just haven't done the research. You're just talking about stuff you haven't seen. And it's just, It's so reminiscent of Pizzagate. And, I've been asked to go back down that rabbit hole. And there's things that I saw that I really can't even talk about. There's things that I saw with military vets that I really can't talk about. We know what we saw. And when we went back, it was all gone. And there were threats and other things happened. And, I was with, a news organization, and it had other implications, heavier implications. And I had a boss. But aside from that, it's like I just, when we went through Pizzagate, we were so stunned. We were like, I can't believe we're seeing this. And then to watch it just get, tossed aside like it was nothing. All the research, all the clear coded language that led us to very disturbing, to say the least, social media posts, stuff that was public. I mean, we deciphered everything. We found all the code languages. We were able to, folks, we were able to find exact things. And, threats were made. I'll leave it at that. But I had somebody reach out to me that, let's say I was kind of on this journey with, and they were like, we probably should have just called the cops. And it's one of those things where it's like, how are the cops not already involved? It's like, do I need to call the cops over these emails? It's like, no, it's already gone through the DOJ. It's already gone through law enforcement. They've already shut this case, guys. They've already shut it. They've already cut all the deals. All the rich and powerful people that were involved in this probably already cut deals. They won't serve a single day. They will not serve a single day. I don't know what their punishment is, if any. Maybe they were all compromised. They compromised law enforcement. They all just said, all right, scrub it, pretend like we care, throw this out there. Let's just get it out of the way. From Kirana Shuliak to Bella Klein, subject, receipt for your payment to Wayfair LLC. Now, folks, anybody who was around for the Wayfair thing, and I got to be very careful here. If you're around for the Wayfair thing, you know why this is so significant. Okay? And, Wayfair, that investigation was like, it was like another Pizzagate. It's like, if you ever played one of those games as a kid where you had to like decipher the coded language, and maybe it was in like a comic book or one of those kids magazines or on the back of a cereal box, and you needed to get like the special glasses. It's like that's what it was like. It was like we deciphered the code. It was like we found the secret message. It told us what it was. And that's basically what happened with Wayfair, guys. I mean, the Wayfair thing, in a way, while it was kind of very narrow in scope, it was like very specific in direction. It was also like very specific in like, what are the odds that is even possible? No, impossible. And so, like I said, I'm trying to avoid getting into the commentary and the opinion here. This is just for documentary purposes. We're not making any allegations. We're not making any accusations, suggestions. We're just covering these files. I'm just telling you, Wayfair popping up here, and apparently Epstein ordering whatever this is on Wayfair. It's just another connection to things we've seen in the past. And it's so in your face. And I said this yesterday, and I saw some other comments on this. Even talked to some people about this. I do still believe that this is part of a public blackmail operation to get Trump to do something he doesn't want to do. And People are, oh, he's making excuses for Trump. Calm down. I'm just calling it as I see it. This is just play by play here. Okay. Just relax. So I still think this is some sort of a public blackmail campaign against President Trump. I don't even know if he controls his DOJ at this point. But also there seems to be this kind of other side of it. And it's just like, they're just going to show us all of this and be like, hey, you guys were right about everything. Watch this. We're still going to get away with it. We're going to give you all of the evidence. It's going to come right from your highest level of law enforcement. And we're going to show you everything, and nothing will happen. Nothing will happen to us. It kind of has that feeling. I guess time will tell. From Jeffrey Epstein to Sultan bin Suleiman. Does the Quran say don't take Jews and Christians as friends? Dear Jeffrey, some time ago you asked me, does the Quran say don't take Jews and Christians as friends? Of course it doesn't. Please watch this 5-minute clip. So it looks like, I guess, this is a Muslim trying to befriend a group of Jews for whatever reason, maybe to get on the island. I don't know. He makes a distinction between friends, allies, confidants. Americans do not. They are all categories of friends. I agree this one version of interpretation, the interpretation that makes sense to me, is that the verse came during a battle where some Muslim tribes were collaborating with some Jewish and Christian tribes against their brothers. So the verse came as a warning, but limited to that wartime. As you know, the Quran permits men to marry Christians and Jews. In fact, one of the prophet's wives was Jewish and another was Christian. So it doesn't make sense that the Quran will say you can marry them but can't be friends with them. So they're very theological in this discussion. All I know for sure is that you are one of my most trusted friends in the very sense of the word. You have never let me down, not once, not half of once, and I greatly appreciate the time we spend together. Thank you, my friend. I am off to sample a fresh 100% female Russian at my yacht. 100% Russian or 100% female. Question, if it were once a man and now has tits, pussy lips, and butt, what percentage is it? 100% female. That's what I was afraid you would say. Final comment there from Epstein. So I guess he was into the trans. I think that's it for our files today. We have some other news on this subject. I think that's it for the files. I will throw this out, and I'm even in fact, you know what? I'm not going to actually put this. I'm not actually going to put this out. I'm not going to put this out because I don't want to put this individual even involved with any of this stuff. So you may know what I'm referencing. You may not. I'm not going to show you this because this individual does not belong. But it does appear that there's stuff that has been, obviously people can fake stuff. So obviously there can be people that can fake stuff. Now you can always go back to the Department of Justice's website and you can look at the tags and you can do a keyword search and you can, back up this stuff yourself. So there's one thing that's like something that's totally fake, but then there's another thing where you go in there and you find stuff. So for example, people have found some images and it's hard to source exactly what they're doing in there because it's just images. Like there's no context. It's not like they pulled an email and somebody was sharing this image from social media and said, oh, hey, look at this person partying, or hey, look at these girls, they're hot, bring them to the island. They're just random images. Now, some of them you may have seen. In fact, it was, I forget the guy's name, and I didn't want to cover it today because I just don't know. I don't know what he's guilty of or not. And anybody could have been pictured with Epstein, and anybody they can set up to make look bad in this stuff. I forget the guy's name, but he's in a picture with Epstein. And it's him, and he says his fiance, and he went on Piers Morgan. I forget the guy's name. He goes on Piers Morgan, And Piers is giving him a hard time. And he's like, look, that was my fiance. We went out with Jeffrey. I didn't know him before that. Didn't see him after that. Somebody took a picture of us sitting outside. Now, he claims he has nothing to do with anything bad, and it's a picture, right? I mean, they always, part of their game was to get a picture with you. Like, that was part of the operation, was let's get a picture with them. It's like the lowest form of kind of gotcha was, oh, we just got a picture with them, and then you start the process. So then you maybe bring them to the island, or you bring them to a party or whatever. Maybe they like what they see. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't go, whatever. And then it's kind of like this process. And then eventually they either land you in a situation like I think with Bill Gates. We can get to that in a second. Or you're like grossed out or whatever, and then they try to control you after it. But so what they've done is there's just these random pictures, celebrities, social media, and they blank out the people who they're with. And so this is what they did to this guy that went on Piers Morgan. Again, I don't know if he's guilty or innocent of anything, but it's what they did to him. Now, people are going after this guy because he's Jewish and because he was pictured with Epstein. But again, it's like this framing. It's like he says he's innocent. He says he didn't do anything wrong. He says it's his fiance, and then he can show the original image. He could be totally innocent. He could be totally innocent. You talk about these emails that we just read. That's the stuff that needs investigated. But let me get back to the point. So there's these random images in the files with no context. They're just random images that they pulled off of social media of famous people and celebrities, and they block the image of the females that they're with. So you see this, and you're like, oh, look, here's these celebrities with these blocked images. Oh, it must be bad. They must be minors. Well, you can run these images and find them online. They're still publicly up on social media. And there's no minors involved. There's nothing illegal or illicit happening. It's literally just some couple celebrities hanging out with women in their backyard that they posted on social media. And it has nothing to do with Epstein. It has nothing to do with any crimes. And they just insert these images in there, block out the women, and you're just like, oh, wow, this looks bad. But these are publicly available images. And that's what happened to the one guy that Piers Morgan did the gotcha interview with. And he didn't handle it well. I mean, let's be honest. He was kind of clinking, shattering his teeth, nervous about it. But he's like, this is a public image. It's like, this is a public image. That's me and my fiance. There's no minors involved. I don't know why you guys are blocking the image here. We posted this image. So they just the DOJ just took the image, blocked out the women, and then all you see is me and Epstein with two blocked out women, and you just think it's something bad. He's like, here's the image right here. That's my fiance. There's nothing to hide. We posted the image. So they did this with a bunch of celebrities. No context, just a random image. They pull it off the internet. They block out the women, and then it looks like, oh, here's these celebrities with underage girls. You find the original image. It's them with their friends. So that's another strange thing. Now, let me just hit the Bill Gates thing, and we've got clips of Melinda coming up. I think I've got 2 clips of Melinda. You know, I think there's different levels here. You kind of look at the Bill Gates stuff. It looks like Bill, think about whatever you want about how he got, his technology or whatever. Forget about all that. I'm not getting into the origin story of Bill Gates. But it looks like here's Bill Gates. Probably not a ladies' man. Fair to say? Yeah. Probably not a ladies' man. Probably not the greatest social skills. Probably not going around in high school chasing and catching a bunch of tail. All right. Probably fair to say. Probably not his game. But heterosexual man, at least heterosexual enough to have the same desires. Okay. Well, he gets to the island surrounded by beautiful women that would never think about going anywhere near him, beautiful women that he would never even have the ability to touch. That's a different kind of high in and of itself. It's like, oh. So now you're hanging out with Epstein. You're hanging out with these beautiful women that otherwise you'd have no access to. They'd have no interest in you. You're getting some action. Now they got you. Now, who knows as far as, did Epstein ever consider these people his friends, or was it always business? But it looks like that's the case with somebody like Bill Gates. It's like, okay, I can go here and do whatever I want, get access to beautiful women. And then there's the story emerging. We saw it in the emails. He catches a sexually transmitted disease. He's asking Epstein what to do about it. He's trying to find a way to get his wife this medicine. He's trying to find a new condom that he can wear. It's like, okay. So it's like there seems to be different levels. So there's people that were just like, I just want access to these women. I can't get them anywhere else. I can go here and do it. And they think it's all good. Then there were people who probably saw it and were like, oh, let's go all the way. I want to do it all, anything, all the time. And then there were people who probably got tricked and compromised. And then there were people who probably got just turned off and rejected the whole thing. But it looks like these were kind of the different levels of this game, this operation that Epstein was playing. And it feels like whatever was going on at the island was kind of the final level. But even on the island, there were different levels. Even on the island, there were different levels that you could engage in. It's like maybe you're not going to the temple and doing God knows what, right? We saw cannibalism in the emails, torture, all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, even on the island, you might not be going and doing the torture stuff, the cannibal stuff. But it's like you can still go over here to the beach and, hang out with the women. Hang out with the women. Maybe they're of age, maybe they're not. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you don't care. But so it looks like these are kind of the different levels. But Bill, Melinda looks like she kind of remained loyal through a lot of this. And then when it all came out in public, that's when she decided it was time to go. So we've got a couple clips of Melinda coming up here. I want to take the first hour break. We need to take care of some business. Let's take the first hour break. We've got some news surrounding these Epstein files, some comments from Trump. We'll hear from Melinda Gates. We'll kind of close that deal out. And then we'll get to the other news on the other side.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
All right, guys, pet owners, listen up. How many of you in the audience listening have pets? And if you have pets, I don't even have to ask this, but if you do have pets, do you love your pet? Of course you do. Of course, everybody does. And you want your pets to live as long as possible. And this is why people take them for all kinds of treatments to deal with, parasites, worms, all that other good stuff that you need to get rid of, that pets have to deal with, unfortunately. Well, we fought so hard for years to get ivermectin for humans, but did you know it's effective on your pets as well? And so RESOVX.Health brings you Petmectin. That's right, Petmectin. And right now it's 10% off at RESOVX.Health. The link is on the screen. I'll give it to you in a second. But we've been fighting for access to ivermectin for humans. We also now have it for pets. Now, ivermectin with pets can assist with heartworm prevention, dogs, cats. It also treats intestinal worms, roundworms, hookworms, and external parasites like mites. And anybody who's had a dog, anybody who's had a cat, especially for a long period of time, this stuff eventually comes up. It either eventually comes up and you have to deal with it, or you're taking preventative measures to deal with it. This is what Petmectin is all about. 100% pure pharmaceutical grade and human grade ivermectin. This is the highest quality, third-party tested, and most affordable ivermectin offered in the USA. All you need to do is go to RESOVX.Health. That's RESOLVX.Health and use coupon code OWEN10. Listen closely. Coupon code OWEN10 will get you 10% off of Petmectin. Now, while you're there, these are some other important things that we've learned about recently. You can find incredible products like hydroxychloroquine, fenbendazole, and so much more. Folks, the research for Petmectin, ivermectin, it's so convincing, and that's why RESOVX.Health has brought Petmectin to the market. Look into it for yourself. Look at all their other great products. But remember, for your pets, Petmectin 10% off, coupon code OWEN10. When you go there to get your pet Mectin for your dog, for your cat, you want them to live long, happy, healthy lives, don't forget that coupon code, folks. Coupon code OWEN10 will get you an additional 10% off at RESOVX.Health. Take care of your pets. You know you love them. You know you're eventually going to deal with this stuff anyway. Why not go with the stuff we know works? RESOVX.Health. Pet Mectin, 10% off with coupon code OWEN10.
Political light years ahead of the rest. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, guys, we're in hour number 2 here of the Owen Report. We got some more news revolving around the Epstein stuff here that I want to get to. We got a bunch of comments from President Trump, not necessarily on that, but we do have some comments from President Trump. I think I'm going to hold off on those for a second. I'm even debating how much of this I want to get into. But let's just give this example. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. How much of this do I want to get into? I'm sure you guys have seen. Members of the media that they say, oh, there's nothing to the Epstein files. Clara Lehman, am I the only person who finds the Epstein story incredibly boring? Matt Taibbi. Really, Matt? No. Guys, I said this yesterday. I'm going to remain consistent here. I'm going to be nice. Because you know what? Judgment isn't on me. I cover news and we'll cover the news and you can judge. But they're going to be judged by the audience. They're going to be judged by the American people. And ultimately, they're going to be judged by God. So who knows how bad it really is? But you do have to wonder. You do have to wonder why. You do have to wonder why they're distracting. You do have to wonder why they're blaming everybody but who's responsible. You do have to wonder why people are silent on it. You do have to wonder why they're saying, oh, it's boring. What is wrong with you guys? No, seriously, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with Clara Lehman? What is wrong with Matt Taibbi? Did you, again, to me, it's either you didn't look at it, you're ignorant, or for whatever reason, you have an interest in covering it up. So I'm going to be nice. This will give you a little hint, I think, right here from Clara Lehman, who finds it boring. We will win. We are all behind you, Benjamin Netanyahu. So, okay. I think that gives you a little peek into her interests here. By the way, for whatever reason, she's banned. She's banned currently on X. Oh, here's the Musk bots are going to come for me now. Maybe Musk just said, oh, you think that exposing child sex trafficking is boring? How about I just ban you from my app, bitch? How about that, bitch? You sick, nasty bitch. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be nice. You're just a special type of evil. You're really not so far. It's like you're not them on the island doing the stuff, okay? You're not them on the island doing whatever it is you think is boring, and maybe that's why you didn't go. I guess it's just boring. It's like you're not them. You're probably not that evil, but it's like you're kind of a special type of evil. You're kind of like a rat evil. It's like, yeah, a rat isn't really going to, mess me up too bad. A rat's not really going to like bite me or, screw me up too bad. I can deal with a rat. You're just a little heaving, gnawing rat running around. It's like, but nobody wants you around. You're still a rat. You're still a disgusting little rat. Man. And part of me just says it's one of those things because you always got to make a decision. Everything in life is a decision. It's a risk. It's a decision. It's like, I could spend a bunch of time exposing the people that are not covering this. I could spend a bunch of time calling people out that aren't covering this. I've decided it's not worth it. It's not worth my time. It's not worth your time. You can see it for yourself. There's better ways to spend our time here every day. But I got to say it's very telling, isn't it? I got to say it's very, very telling. And it's like once you see how the media is controlled and once you see even now in the independent media how they control certain people that you think, oh, look, they're for free speech or they're the independent press or look what they're exposing and they get the exclusives and they get the buildups and everything else. And then it's like, okay. And then a moment like this happens and then you see what they really are. So I said, I'm withholding judgment. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do my show. But man, oh man, you want to talk about a separation? It's happening right now. You want to talk about a realignment in the media? It's happening right now. There's no doubt about that. By the way, so you start to see the symbolism. We showed you that Simpsons clip. This is from a Kanye. This is from a Kanye West video. This, I think, is from his original album or second album. I forget. It features a bunch of kids. It looks like getting trapped and drugged to. Well, I'll just go ahead and let you judge for the video. Here you go. So you see baby pickup here. Baby pickup. They're running around. A bunch of people are about to pick them up. You, my friends, and my. And then look at this. They're being dragged to the baller party. I'm not sure who that is. With Donald Trump, Bill Gates, Jay-Z, and P. Diddy. Baller party. This is where the kids are being drugged to. I don't know who that is. No. So that's from a Kanye West video back in the day. Okay. Interesting. Clintons capitulate on House Epstein inquiry, agree to testify. Former President Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, the ex-Secretary of State, agreed to depositions. They had long resisted days before the House was to vote to hold them in contempt. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Are the Clintons finally going to show for their hearing? Are the Clintons finally going to testify on the Epstein files? I tell you, I don't believe it. I think they're just buying time. I think they're just buying time, guys. We'll see. They should have already been arrested, actually, but they're just buying time. All right, President Trump was asked about the DOJ and the Epstein files yesterday. Here's what he said.
And no, he made a statement about me and Jeffrey Epstein. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And in fact, if you look at the DOJ, they announced,
Look, guys, again, you can be the biggest Trump supporter, okay? And you can still be the biggest Trump supporter. You can be a cheerleader, whatever. I don't care. Can we just deal with reality? That is a ridiculous lie. You just have, it's like, how does he say something like this? And you can go back. There's a movie about Trump and Roy Cohn and the philosophy of lying, basically. But it's just like, what do you mean you had nothing to do with Epstein? What a complete and utter lie. Just like 5 months ago, Speaker Johnson said you were basically an FBI informant turning Epstein in. Now you say you have nothing to do with them? A couple of times you said, oh, he used to come to my clubs, recruit girls, so I turned him in, I got rid of him. So now you say you had nothing to do with him? Of course, there's the famous videos of you guys dancing and everything. I mean, this is ridiculous. To say you had nothing, it's just like, that's when it starts to get suspicious. It's like, you are just outright lying. It's like, that's what I'm saying. You can be the biggest Trump supporter and say, I would love to support Trump on this issue, but he's lying. To say he had nothing to do with Epstein is just a lie. But see, I have integrity. I'm a truth teller. So they tell me to shut the F up. That's how that works. They don't want truth tellers with integrity that are actually professionals out here telling you what's going on and telling the truth. They want ball washers out there that will lie for President Trump and cover for President Trump. And that's who he makes sure to surround himself with, is pathetic little cucks that'll clean his balls every time they get dirty. Sorry, we don't do that here. So this is just an outrageous lie from the president. I don't care if you think he's the greatest president of all time. I don't care if you think he's the greatest person of all time. I don't care if you still think that this administration is going to end up with the greatest results that you've ever seen. This is a ridiculous lie.
And no, he made a statement about me and Jeffrey Epstein. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And in fact, if you look at the DOJ, they announced, they released 3 million pages. It's like this is all they're supposed to be doing. And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do, because that whole thing has turned out, other than Bill Clinton and, Bill Gates and lots of people that have there are a lot of questions about it, but nothing.
Well, Bill Gates has been invited to the White House multiple times. I'm pretty sure you put Bill Gates' name on the new ballroom. Maybe we ought to look into why those people decided to fund the new ballroom. Maybe that has something to do with it. Oh, but it's only Bill Clinton. Yeah, there's no doubt Clinton needs to be asked questions, and he keeps avoiding arrest with his contempt of court. Oh, the DOJ is too busy. Sorry, guys. The DOJ is too busy to figure out what was going on with a massive potential child sex trafficking and torture operation, and who knows what else. Sorry, DOJ is too busy. Too busy doing what? Arresting the left-wing groups that are funding these organizations that are putting people out on the street, disrupting ICE? Oh, yeah, that's not happening. So what is it? What is it that they're too busy doing exactly?
Nothing on me, but it was even sort of better than that because they found that Jeffrey Epstein and this sleazebag writer named Michael Wolff were conspiring against Donald Trump to lose the election. So Epstein was conspiring with a writer for me to lose the election.
So what happened? What happened to the campaign? Kash Patel, Dan Bongino. You know, Trump didn't really go in on the Epstein stuff that much, but he said he would reveal the files, and now they have. But Patel, Bongino, you guys were all about Epstein. You guys said, don't let this thing go. You guys said he was an intelligence asset. You guys talked about the same stuff we talked about. Now, all of a sudden, there's nothing there. Now, all of a sudden, we're to just shut up. That's what you want us to do, shut up?
So right there, you know that I had nothing to do with this guy. But, yeah, it's a terrible thing. The amount of time that's being wasted. You know, when Epstein was alive, like 10 years ago, nobody cared about it. But they're only doing it. But now it's really hitting back on them because Bill Clinton is such a big part of it. The Democrats are pushing it. And the problem is that it's turning out to be the Democrats that were with and conspired with Epstein. So I think you're probably going to see a little pullback from them. But think of it. They were working together to try and help me lose the election. But this is the Oval Office, so I guess that didn't work out too well. Okay, one more.
Now, let me explain what I think is happening, why he says this stuff. This is how the fake news works, that he's just part of the right-wing fake news now. He knows that the mainstream media on the right is not going to touch this stuff. And he knows either he can command them to share that clip or they'll just pull that clip and say, see, Trump is innocent. The Democrats did it. And then play this left-right paradigm that they've been playing against us for years. Oh, nobody talked about Epstein for years. That's a lie. Oh, this is all about the Democrats. That's a lie. Now, if you want to talk about the Democrats, that's fine. If you want to talk about how they didn't do anything during the Biden years, that's fine. That's true. But actually, no, I could have played clips of Ro Khanna. I could have played clips of AOC. And it's not just Democrats. Nancy Mace, Thomas Massie. There's plenty of people on both sides of the aisle that are demanding justice into these files and further investigations. It's not a left-right thing. This is going beyond partisan lines. So this is Trump just either outright lying, or this is Trump playing the game of the fake news right mainstream media paradigm, basically saying, I can just come out here and we can control the narrative. And this is why Todd Blanche is going on Fox News. This is why Trump is saying that. So they can basically build this new narrative around the Epstein files, assuming that you're never going to see them because they're not going to show them to you. And then they can just make it a new left-right paradigm deal and just try to shut this thing down. Because we all know the left is filled with liars. We all know if liberals had any standards at all, it's double standards. It's like, yeah, we all know that. So they're using that now to try to cover up the truth about the Epstein files. I just don't understand. Again, it's like, I wouldn't want no. Folks, after everything we went through, after everything I went through for 10 years, you don't think that this is like, this sucks for me? You don't think this is like a kick in the stomach, a punch in the nuts for me? I had nothing to do with Epstein. Do you think I'm stupid? What do you think I'm going to do? Lie? Oh, man. Well, there must be something real in there. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor reported to police amid Epstein allegations. Somebody's going in. The former prince has previously denied all allegations of wrongdoing. Of course, there's weird videos and photos of him. It's been reported to the police after a woman claimed she was trafficked for sex with the former prince at a royal residence following the release of the Epstein files last week. A second woman, who was in her 20s at the time, has come forward alleging that she was sent to the UK by Epstein. I am curious, and now it's like it almost gets even more difficult now because you're probably going to have people that try to muddy the waters with fake claims and fake victims, just like they're doing with these fake images. It's just unbelievable, all the scoundrels. Why are you guys protecting this? I'm just curious. It's just like, why are you protecting this? Okay. If you haven't seen the files and you're ignorant, fine. You're just ignorant. You're just an ignoramus. You're just a lazy bum. You're just a fraud. Fine. But if you do know about it, you know what went on. If you're in the DOJ, you did. If you're Trump, you did. If you've seen the files, you do. I'm just. Why are you covering up for this? Why are you hiding this? What is it? Why is your interest in protecting these monsters that were doing this stuff? I'm just curious. Why? What is in it for you? How can you do that? How can you look at yourself in the mirror? And now they're giving us these photos. There's actually more of them. Sickening Jeffrey Epstein autopsy photos reveal staggering neck injuries. Jeffrey Epstein's autopsy report documented extensive neck injuries, including shattered bones, after the convicted sex offender was found dead in his Manhattan prison cell. So this would almost confirm that he did not hang himself. These broken bones and other images of his neck. But I have to say, what's weird is, like, some of these images, like, they don't even look real. Like, this image doesn't even look real. This is one of the images. Are they putting out fake images of Epstein now? So it's all so weird, man. There's other images. I'm not going to take any more time on this. But, like, they don't even look like they're real. These images that they gave us don't even look real. All right. I've got two clips from Melinda Gates here talking about, I guess, how it all went down with the breakup with Bill and the Epstein stuff. So let's go to, okay, I don't care. Leave your conspiracies out of this for a second. All right. Let's just listen to what Melinda is saying here for a second. All right. Just listen to what she's saying. That was a 15-second clip. Tell me why it's so hard to say that. Tell me why it's so hard for any member of this administration to say that. Tell me why it's so hard for Donald Trump to say that. Tell me why. Tell me why. Why is that so hard to say? Should be really easy to say, actually. Should be the easiest thing to say. Should be the first thing that you say. Why is it so hard for them to say that? Why do they struggle with just saying that basic thing? Why? Why? Why is that so hard to say? Listen to what she says. 15 seconds. Why is it so hard for them to say this? This is so simple to say. Why is this so hard for any member of this administration to say? And what happened to Pam Bondi, by the way? I've seen the files. It's some of the most nasty, gruesome stuff. Oh, there'll be arrests. There'll be prosecution. It's some of the most vile, disgusting, disturbing stuff I've ever seen. I have the files. What happened to that? What happened, Pam? Why is it so hard? Why wouldn't Trump just say this? When they ask him about the files, why wouldn't Trump just say this right here?
I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles.
Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness.
And I do wonder where those girls in front of the microphone goes. I do wonder about that. Now, again, you can think whatever you want about Melinda Gates, okay? Think whatever you want about her. Say whatever you want about her. But here's what I have to tell you, and you need to really focus on this right now. You don't want to become the dog that gets wagged by the tail. Because when you enter that thought process, when you enter that thought paradigm, you become just as brainwashed and easily controlled as your opposition. And by the way, this is what has happened to so much of the hate Trump left. Trump says breathing air is good. They're going to suffocate to death. Trump says, you need to drink water to live. They say, I'm never drinking water again. Well, just because you hate Trump doesn't mean that he can't say something that's true. So you can say, oh, Melinda Gates was married to Bill, or Melinda Gates is a liberal, or all the other stuff, whatever. Listen to what she's saying, okay? Don't become the dog that gets wagged by the tail. Don't become this reactionary that just says, oh, this person is that, or this person is this, or this person comes from this thought, or this paradigm, or this background, so I just discount and do the opposite. Don't be that person. Then you're just as easily controlled as the opposition, and you're just as easily to be tricked and confused, deceived, and brainwashed as anybody else. Don't be that person. Don't do that. Now, I do have one more clip here. I want to make sure it isn't the... Yeah, this is the one where she's talking about... It was revealed in the email about the STD situation. And that's the one that kind of gives us a little context, I think, into, Bill and his character and what he was doing there and everything else. But here she is talking about that. He doesn't really address the question head on. Let's move on. Sean Ryan. This is interesting. So he's getting a cease and desist letter here from attorneys representing CHOQ Ministries. This is wild. Threatening legal action after the camp covered up. I guess he accused them of covering something up. And then there were some NDAs. So I want to be careful how I phrase this. Let's just go to Sean Ryan's statement here. He is not taking this sitting down.
I need to talk to you about something serious. Last week, I received a demand letter from lawyers representing CHOQ Ministries, a Christian summer camp in Missouri. They're threatening to sue me for defamation because of something I said on my podcast with Congressman Ro Khanna. Here's what I said. I brought Elizabeth Phillips on my show, and she talked about how CHOQ employees have been molesting thousands of kids.
All right. Now, let me say something here. First of all, if you're serious about your business and you're confident about your claims, that's how you handle business right there, folks. That's how you handle business. Sean means business, and now it's their move. So if you're going to go through with some of this stuff, now the problem is you can get into some of these rigged courtrooms, and they can basically just, screw you. Essentially, you can get into a rigged case, and they can essentially just screw you. But this is how you win. You get into discovery, you get a fair case, you go into trial, and then really the burden is always on the plaintiff here to prove malice or prove whatever it is that they're trying to claim, which is an extremely high bar, and it should be. The problem is you get into these rigged courts with whatever, bad judges, everything else, bad lawyers, and they basically just screw you over. And I may know a thing or two about that. Now, what's funny is CHOQ. I don't know if I ever went to Camp CHOQ. I used to go to some Christian camps. CHOQ was huge in Missouri, folks. CHOQ was huge in Missouri. And I used to go to some Christian camps. I don't know if I ever went to CHOQ though. I'd have to ask my family if I ever went to CHOQ. But it was huge. I know for a fact I had a bunch of friends that went to Camp CHOQ. And I don't know about any abuse. I never heard about anything like that. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm not talking about whatever Sean Ryan is talking about. It sounds like that happened outside of Missouri or even I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do get into the discovery process and hear about how counselors and camp attendees were hooking up. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. Now, again, whatever he's talking about, I'm not talking about that. I don't know. I'm not too well researched on that. I was looking at some of it when he was talking. It seems like this stuff goes back a long time. But Camp Kanakuk was huge. Big thing in Missouri. For sure. So I would guess if they get into discovery, something's going. They're going to find something. I don't know what, but they'll find something. And Sean obviously knows it. He says, "Oh, you're going to come after me? Let's see who comes out clean in that battle. Let's see who comes out clean in that deal." Okay. I wouldn't want to be dealing with Sean if I was them. I would probably say, you know what? I don't think they're, wow. That's going to be interesting, huh? That's going to be interesting. All right. Let's do a brief news blitz here before we hit our final hour break. Josh Hawley, it's time for a full DOJ investigation into the left-wing dark money groups funding grassroots protests across the nation. He sends a letter to Pam Bondi. I like Josh Hawley. I think he's overall good, one of the good guys in Congress. And I'm glad he's doing this, but it just gets a little frustrating. It gets a little redundant, you know? It's like Pam Bondi has been talking about this for months. Then we said, okay, we're going to add Scott Bessent to the team to take care of this because Bondi's so incompetent. Bessent's competent. He'll figure it out. Well, I guess, I don't know. Were they just lying about that? Did they just make that up? So still nothing's been done. Still the protests are happening. Now they're in the schools. You had a teacher get assaulted here in Austin, Texas. They had some ice out protest. A teacher got assaulted. So now Hawley is having to send a letter. And it's like, look, Hawley's a politician. He knows how to score political points and win another election. And it's okay. How much of that is this? But it's like, okay, at least he's doing it. At least there's some pressure. At least it's like, yeah, Pam Bondi has still done nothing. But it's the same story. So, I mean, I like Hawley. I understand the frustration with all of Congress. It's a bunch of chatter. Nothing gets done. I get it. I'm not pushing back on these complaints. But it's just more proof that Pam Bondi is totally incompetent and not doing what she said she would do at all, ever, it seems like. By the way, there's some back and forth. I'm going to need to get a quick update on this. Now, what have I been telling you about Ed Martin, guys? I told you Ed Martin was one of the good guys in there and one of us. And he tried as hard as he can as a one-man band to get anything done, and they just keep handicapping him and tossing him aside. Well, it sounds like he's maybe in, maybe out. I guess we'll start here. Paul Sperry, DOJ sources tell me that DAG Todd Blanche, a registered Democrat through 2024, fired Ed Martin on December 31st and effectively shut down the Weaponization Working Group office. Blanche cleared out the weaponization suite at Main Justice to make room for the latest Epstein Files production. Blanche denied Martin's staff and budget and is gumming up the works for the Russiagate accountability. Now, I've heard similar things. I've got, I don't know, Sperry sources, whatever. I've got sources. But this has kind of been in the works here. It's like Martin was one of us. He got in, a true believer, had a small team, thought he could do the weaponization justice, go after the Obamagate, Spygate, Russia hoax, some of the other stuff, January 6th. And slowly but surely, it was like, no, this is just ceremonial. We don't mean it. They started cutting his budget. They started cutting his team. They basically whittled him down to nothing. And then apparently he gets fired. I don't know. Now, he's posting images still from D.C. with the people he's bringing in and talking. I don't know if that's to, drum up some morale and to just say, I'm still here. Rachel Alexander reporting, I don't think I have ever posted something urgent on X since I joined in 2008, but if you want to know why prosecutions, especially over election fraud, aren't happening, here's your answer. This corrupt rhino in the DOJ, Todd Blanche, got our incredible election integrity hero, Ed Martin, fired from his position. Everyone needs to tell Donald Trump to fire this rhino who hates election integrity. Yes, it's time. We're looking into the Epstein files and Russiagate, but there's no room to look into election fraud, which many of us, like Carrie Lake and Abe Hamadeh, believe is the most important issue. Please follow Paul Sperry, who has the guts to reveal this. I have worked for both state and local government, so I understand how this works. It is very difficult to remove these merit-protected rhino employees. Look, I've heard multiple things about Blanche. I've heard people that say he's the worst. I've heard people that say it's not that bad. Seems to start, and a pattern starts to emerge here, but specifically after the Epstein stuff, it looks like, I don't know if he works for Donald Trump. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Speaking of Donald Trump, we'll see. Well, actually, let me do a quick inquiry here. Let's see if anybody's covering this. Yeah. They're getting rid of him. They're getting rid of him. Looks like it's not a done deal yet. Oh, great. I got to get a subscription to the Washington Post. Justice Department demotes Ed Martin, stripping Trump ally of most authority. Ed Martin, Trump's one-time weaponization chief, is expected to depart Justice Department in coming weeks. So there you go, folks. This is one of us. He was one of the good guys. He was one of the guys that was fighting for results, fighting for justice. They faked it. It was a head fake. It was ceremonious. They kept whittling him down to nothing, and now they're just going to get rid of him. What did I tell you guys? First, I said the first canary in the coal mine is going to be Bongino. The first canary in the coal mine is going to be Bongino. And if he leaves, that's the sign that there's nothing is going to happen. And look, we can bash on Bongino and dunk on Bongino and everything else, and that's fine. He asks for it. So this is no defense of Bongino. His ego has kind of gotten the best of him, and I think he's feeling a little, he's got a little egg on his face. But whatever. I think Bongino would, it's like this. If Bongino thought that he could be there for the final victory of arresting the deep state or bringing in Obama or anything else, then he would still be there. You understand? He would still be there. So to me, the fact that Bongino left, that's the first canary in the coal mine. Nothing is going to get done. Now Bongino has to deal with the aftermath of getting in there, talking a big game, and going back to his podcast with nothing. So he has to deal with that and the backlash. We talked about that yesterday. We've talked about it before. I'm totally over it. But to me, that was the first canary in the coal mine. Then you had Lindsay Halligan, who basically threw her arms in the air and said, I'm done. This Pam Bondi is so incompetent. She can't even file paperwork on time. She was another person that was like, she wanted to score a victory. She wanted to get Letitia James. She wanted to get James Comey, and Pam Bondi made sure she couldn't do it. So she left. So it's like if Bongino thought he could be there for the final victory against the deep state, he'd still be there. If Lindsay Halligan thought that she could be there for the final victory against James Comey and Letitia James, she'd still be there. And Ed Martin, here's your next canary in the coal mine. Same story. Justice against the weaponization of government entities. And now, but he's stuck around. He's basically just like, I'm not leaving. Like, you guys can try to destroy me, embarrass me, whittle me down to nothing, put me in a damn janitor's closet. I'm not leaving. So they're just going to kick him out. There's your third canary in the coal mine, folks. So, who do you blame? Wiles, Trump, Bondi, Blanche, Netanyahu, blackmail. It doesn't matter. Look at the results. Look at the results. This is your third canary in the coal mine, folks. Bongino, Halligan, Martin. If they thought things were going to get done, if we were going to have final victory against the deep state, they would still be there. Two of them left voluntarily. Ed Martin clinging to life. They're just going to boot him out. They're just going to boot him out. But hey, Trump's got his priorities straight today. He posted this morning. He woke up and thought of this. Why hasn't the fake news New York Times adjusted its phony article on the corruption and anti-Semitism, which has taken place at Harvard? They never call for facts or fact checks because the Times is a corrupt, unprincipled, and pathetic vehicle of the left. They wrote only negatively about me in the last election, and I won in a landslide. Oh, it's all about me. To anyone who knows, they have zero credibility, a rag at the lowest level. I look forward to watching their rapidly failing circulation force them to finally close their doors. That would be great news for America. This is so embarrassing. I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. I'm no fan of the New York Times, but this is just ridiculous. The New York Times will probably outlast the Trump administration unless he just sues them for $10 trillion and, shuts them down or whatever. They'll outlast the Trump administration. And you know what's so strange here? And I saw General Mike Flynn posting about this, and he sent me a message. We had a brief exchange about this. Because now he's being targeted too. Like one of the greatest forces for good in truth and transparency, and knows where the bodies are buried. And now he's getting attacked too, and Trump's trying to attack. And it's just like, what is going on? And so, Trump was making the Epstein files all about himself. It's like Trump's not implicated. Donald Trump did nothing. Donald Trump's been exonerated. Donald Trump isn't implicated. Trump. And it's like the same thing here. Oh, the New York Times isn't nice to Trump. Why aren't you nice to Trump? We're going to get you from Trump. And there's like all these new MAGA sycophants and cheerleaders and cult members. It's like, oh, Trump. Now, you know what's happened? The right wing now has Trump derangement syndrome. They do. They can't see anything in the world without the Trump glasses on. That's it. They have the Trump blinders. They have the Trump glasses. And it's like nothing exists in the world except Trump. Trump is everything. Trump is my life. Trump is my lungs. Trump is my liver. Trump is my brain. Trump is my eyes. Trump is everything. Everything through the lens of Trump. Ooh, Epstein files, Trump. Ooh, Justice Department, Trump. Ooh, Trump. New York Times, Trump. There's an entire world out there, folks. There's an entire political world, cultural world, media world, the Epstein files, all of it. Not everything is about Trump. These people now, the right-wing MAGA cult now has Trump derangement syndrome, and they think everything revolves around Trump. They think the whole world is like Trump's hairpiece. It's like, here's the world with Trump's little wig on top. The right wing now has worse Trump derangement syndrome than the left wing. It's like the left wing kind of went through the worst of it, and now they're just kind of stuck in the hamster wheel of it. The right wing is now full-blown Trump derangement syndrome, and literally everything that exists is about a Trump for them. It's like you say, gee, did you see that Epstein files where they're talking about slicing pizza and having pizza parties? Yeah, well, Trump wasn't involved. Why don't you stand up for Trump? You need to talk about Trump. It's like, what? I'm talking about an Epstein email with some guy talking about pizza. Yeah, well, Trump wasn't involved. Trump is doing this. I'm not talking about Trump. It's like, and even with Trump, it's like, Mr. Trump, did you see some of the Epstein emails? I'm not involved. I have nothing to do with Epstein. Never heard of the guy. Never seen the guy. It's all a lie. It's all an attack on Trump. It's all about me. Everybody about me. It's crazy. So there you go. So now you can kind of see that. Now you can kind of understand that. You've already seen the left-wing version of Trump derangement syndrome. Now you're seeing the right-wing version of Trump derangement syndrome.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Well, there you have it, folks. There's only one way you're suffering from some kind of derangement. There's all kinds of derangements out there. A lot of them can be solved, perhaps. A lot of them can be figured out. You just need a little Blackout Coffee. That's what you need. Just right now, you're going slow. You're tiring. It's late in the afternoon, maybe early in the evening. You need some coffee to get you through your day. You know what? You need some instant coffee. You need some instant coffee from blackoutcoffee.com. That's what you need. And right now, if you're a fan of the instant coffee like I am, big sale, big volume discount happening right now. 15% off 1 box, 20% off 2 boxes, 25% off 3 boxes, 30% off 4 boxes of the premium instant coffee from blackoutcoffee.com. Now, as I've said, I've got some family staying with me this week. My family prefers the bags of coffee. I have to say they do. I'm not sure what bags actually. I'd have to ask. We've got the Brutal Awakening here in my house. We got the Morning Reaper, the Smooth Finish, and the Pitch Black Espresso. I'll have to find out which one that they're enjoying right now. They had a pot of it. I went downstairs earlier today. I smelled the coffee from my studio. I said, somebody's coffee going downstairs. Oh man, it smelled so good. You know that smell? Nothing like it from blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. So whether you like the full bags of coffee, whole bean or ground, all kinds of different flavors, light roast, medium roast, dark roast, whatever works for you. By the way, over 30 flavors of the single serve pods. So if you like that, the ease of just putting the pod in there, very common these days when you're drinking your coffee. If you like the flavored pods, they've got over 30 flavors. If there's something on there you like, these sell out often, folks, so get on there. Or if it's the premium instant coffee, it's the official coffee of the Owen Report, blackoutcoffee.com/Owen.
Navigating between the sane and insane. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, guys, we are in the third and final hour of today's Owen Report. I think we just got some raw news. We got some raw news we're going to cover here. I think we can get through this news relatively fast before we get to your super chats. We close the show out every day with your super chats. So let's just get to this news here. Shall we? We shall. Okay. San Francisco is the site of the Super Bowl this weekend, where I'm sure we're going to get some weird political message from Bad Bunny, all by design, by the Jay-Z-owned group that decides who does the Super Bowl entertainment. You know, the same Jay-Z who was featured in the Epstein files. Pro-ICE billboard pops up in San Francisco ahead of Super Bowl. So I guess this is in anticipation of the ICE protests. I don't know if this is what is the purpose of it? It's probably going to make the ICE protests bigger. With millions of eyes on the San Francisco Bay Area for the Super Bowl, many wonder if federal officers will be looking to make arrests there. I don't think so. On Monday, several immigrant rights groups held a rally making it clear that ICE is not welcome in the Bay. This, while one other group is showing up in support of ICE. Oh, that's great. Let's get a standoff at the Super Bowl. A new digital billboard at Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco is evoking mixed reactions. It shows supports for ICE. And it said Defensive Player of the Year, ICE. I don't know why the image is not showing up here, but that's what the billboard said. Defensive Player of the Year is ICE. So they're just trying to build up a protest. And then this happened earlier. I haven't seen any developing news, but basically what you're looking at here is some protesters in Minneapolis, I believe, again in Minneapolis, and ICE pulled a gun on this car of protesters.
Hey, I need you to back up. You need to back up. Stay safe. They're pointing handguns at the drivers in the vehicle right now. Hey, get back. You guys need to stay back. You can record, but you gotta be back. Hey, open the fucking door. I need you to back up a little bit more. Hey, get back. Hey, get the fuck back. Back. Hey, no, don't get on the road. Stay back over here. Okay. You guys can take pictures, you just need to stay back. All right. I see the press, you're good. Checking for ID.
Well, they cooperated and they didn't get shot. It's all I can say about that. I don't know what else, but there you go. You see it for yourself. So this is happening on Roblox, which I don't really promote. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. Probably not good. But it looks like the kids are having fun with these ICE deportations. This is from a kid set up in Roblox. get a little comic relief today. All right, guys? Is it all right? A little comic relief for you? Is that cool? That is, hey, you know what? At least he's not resisting arrest. So he's going to walk away with his life. Oh my goodness. All right, back to the weirdness. Here we go. Jill Biden's ex-husband charged with wife's murder. William Stevenson is accused of second-degree murder of his second wife, Linda, who died in December. They brought him in today. A Delaware grand jury charged William Stevenson with one felony count of second-degree murder of his wife, Linda. The details of her killing are not immediately clear, but Stevenson's indictment on Monday came after an extensive weeks-long investigation into her death. Okay, now here's what I also find interesting. By the way, it's like, why is there all this focus on the Savannah Guthrie story? It's like everybody knows about Savannah Guthrie's missing mom. Okay, very tragic. All right, it looks very tragic, very sad. It's another true crime mystery, but it's like, why is everybody focusing on this? I don't know. It's like weird, but okay, here's another one. Now, here's what I find interesting. This is Greg Kelly, and he hosts a show, I believe, at Newsmax, if I'm not mistaken. I can find out in a second. Yeah, Newsmax. Nighttime host on Newsmax. Here's what he said in response. Jill Biden's ex-husband, Bill Stevenson, a good friend of mine, is charged with murdering his wife, Linda. I do not believe it. I know them, and it's not possible he harmed her. Bill was falsely prosecuted before because of Joe Biden's hate for him. Not buying it. Wow. Well, that's certainly a loyal friend, and let's hope the truth is revealed. Why is France so interested in shutting down free internet media? Ex-offices raided in France as prosecutors investigate child abuse images and deep fakes. Folks, don't believe for 1 second that's what this is about. This is all about trying to get Elon Musk. That's what this is all about. French prosecutors raided the offices of social media platform X on Tuesday as part of a preliminary investigation into allegations, including spreading child sex abuse images and deepfakes. They've also summoned billionaire owner Elon Musk for questioning. Elon, if you go there, they're going to throw you in jail, and they're going to throw the key away. Don't go to France. What is going on in France? They first did this to Pavel Durov, you may recall. I'll have his comment here in a second. Elon Musk dramatically summoned to Paris for interview after X offices raided. They want to arrest you, Elon. Don't go. That's all they want to do is arrest you. Don't do it. They did it to Pavel. French police, here's Pavel, creator of Telegram. This is what they did to him. French police is currently raiding X's office in Paris. France is the only country in the world that is criminally prosecuting all social networks that give people some degree of freedom. Telegram, X, TikTok. Don't be mistaken. This is not a free country. Yeah, it's very strange what's going on over there in France. Maybe they're calling Elon in. We need you to silence Candace Owens. She keeps talking about Macron will visit Elon in jail. That's all they want to do is bring Elon in and put him in jail. And Macron will show up. He'll be like, Elon, you have to censor Candace for me. Candace keeps talking about my wife's penis. We cannot have it. I don't know. My French accent has failed, so I'm going to move on. Hazmat, SWAT, FBI swarm Las Vegas home after possible biolab found. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. FBI raid in Las Vegas, possibly linked to California biolab. You may remember that. Folks, they had COVID viruses. They had Ebola viruses. They had all these deadly viruses in this lab. They think it might be connected to that lab that we heard about, what was that, a few years back. Yeah, 2023 in California. You may remember that. Property records show that the Northeast Las Vegas home raided by the FBI and the Las Vegas police is owned by an LLC linked to a similar biolab operation in California. Well, what took them so long to shut this deal down? I guess is the question there. FBI Metro Police find more than 1,000 samples at alleged illegal biolab. One arrest has been made so far. one arrest as of a couple hours ago when we put this together. Yeah. When are we shutting down Jeffrey Epstein and the Ukraine biolabs? Is that anything we're interested in? Okay. Maybe we'll hear about that. There's nothing there. Got you. Chinese biolab, shut it down. That biolab, keep it going. Trump again. Oh, here we go, guys. Here we go. And when does Fauci get arrested? Trump again bypasses U.S. Congress to push $6 billion in arms sales to Israel. The U.S. approved 4 arms sales to Israel with a total of around $6 billion. So, yeah, they're arming Israel up for whatever's going on. So here you go. Oh, markets crash. Epstein files come out. Yeah, and now Israel's getting some more military aid, some more military support. Oh, yeah, and it's not done there. Congress just passed another $3.3 billion for Israel. Oh, yeah. A newly passed government spending bill, $3.3 billion for Israel. Isn't that nice? Yeah. I guess it's all starting to add up, isn't it, guys? I guess it's all starting to add up. Now, that's not all that's in this bill that Thomas Massie tried to shut down, but we'll get to that in a second. Trump supported this bill. I am working hard with Speaker Johnson to get the current funding deal, which passed in the Senate last week, through the House and to my desk, where I will sign it into law immediately. We need to get the government open, and I hope all Republicans and Democrats will join me in supporting this bill and send it to my desk without delay. There can be no changes at this time. We will work together in good faith to address the issues that have been raised, but we cannot have another long, pointless, and destructive shutdown that will hurt our country so badly, one that will not benefit Republicans or Democrats. Hope everyone will vote yes. Well, the Republicans and the Democrats don't benefit America. They all suck. We want the government shut down. In fact, that was kind of part of the campaign, at least in spirit. But now you love it. You know what else is in that bill? Funding abortion, funding DEI, funding trans hospitals, and, of course, more foreign aid. That's what's in the bill that Trump can't wait to sign. And Massie tried to stop all the foreign aid and all the aid for abortion and diversity, equity, and inclusion and trans hospitals. Massie tried to stop all of those things from being funded in the bill. Now, it still could have passed, but he was trying to cut all the waste, fraud, and abuse from the bill. Here was his amendments. Of course, the amendments didn't clear. But upon jotting down the amendments, President Trump decided to attack Thomas Massie. People are saying that Thomas Massie became a liberal because his new wife, blessed be their marriage, is supposedly a radical left flamethrower. His wife voted for Trump 3 times. This new union all went so fast that maybe he didn't know what he was getting into, but nevertheless, he is an absolutely terrible and unreliable Republican, perhaps a rhino, or maybe even worse. And then he promotes the guy who's running against him that will obviously lose because Massie is popular. You know, it's like I want to hold out doubt. It's like I want to hold out doubt or hold on to some hope that Trump is not this bad. And then he goes after Thomas Massie, and it's just like, yeah, he is that bad, isn't he? This is really how pathetic he is. Thomas Massie has the highest liberty score, the highest conservative score, the best voting grade in Congress for any Republican. And he attacks his wife, says she's a liberal. His wife voted for Trump 3 times. This is just pure slop. This is just the sloppiest of slop from Trump, and it's disgusting. But hey, guys, as long as Israel gets its funding, that's all that matters. Just like Chuck Schumer reminded us yesterday, here's John Fetterman reminding us today.
Could end right now, and I would identify my supreme honor of service here in the Senate is unapologetically standing with Israel after that nightmare of 10/7. I want to thank and salute the IDF, what they've accomplished, how remarkable that is, to break Hamas, to break Hezbollah, humiliate Iran, and now it's possible for a real...
You've only humiliated yourself. It's all so tiresome. And now The Witkoff envoy is in Israel again. Benjamin Netanyahu, U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff to meet in Israel as U.S. looks to revive talks with Iran. Now, Israel just publicly blackmailed Trump. They probably control the DOJ. They just publicly blackmailed Trump to strike Iran. That's what I think happened. They did a massive sell-off in the markets. They tanked the markets. They released the Epstein files. They kept Trump's name in them, and they said, Donald will make it worse. We will totally crash all of the markets, and we'll start releasing videos and images if you don't strike Iran right now. And by the way, we also want $10 billion. So Trump cut them $10 billion, and now they're going to strike Iran. And now the markets are slowly coming back up, and they'll stop talking about the Epstein files, and they'll stop releasing them, and they'll start redacting Trump's name from them. Couldn't be more obvious. By the way, did you guys hear about this? Long Beach Catholic school vandalized and defaced. Yeah, somebody went in there and destroyed the church, the school, tens of thousands of dollars. But because it was Christians and because it was Catholics, it's not a big national story, you know. You know the whole thing, right? Here's your DEI, by the way, that the Trump administration is keeping alive. UCLA's new class of 8 ophthalmology residents, one of the nation's most prestigious residency programs that produces some of the most elite eye surgeons. 500 applicants, 50 interviews, and it's all women. Look at that. These are all of your UCLA ophthalmology residencies, you know, because DEI is still alive and well. We've got, why does this image shrink? We've got Ava Nikolahad. We've got Rachel Kane. We've got Shruti Anant. You've got Jennifer Vu. You've got Serena Applebaum. You've got Carla Murillo. You've got Janet Coleman Bellin. And you've got Jordan Cornwell. So no men. And I can't really tell if any of these are whites either. So DEI alive and well, guys. Very good. Very nice. Stephen Miller complaining about this judge today. A Washington, D.C.-based federal judge, Ana Reyes, a Biden appointee, has blocked DHS from ending temporary protected status for more than 350,000 Haitians in the U.S. whose legal protections were set to expire tomorrow, a move that would have left them vulnerable for deportation. So violent, sucking off of our system Haitians set for deportation. Now, Stephen Miller says an unelected judge has just ruled that elections, laws, and borders don't exist. Now, listen to this. That judge was confirmed by a single vote. By a single vote, that judge was confirmed. Do you know whose single vote that was? Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Grahamnesty Graham. And the Trump administration is trying to keep Lindsey Graham around. And the Trump administration is campaigning with Lindsey Graham. And the Trump administration is campaigning and supporting and fundraising for Lindsey Graham. And then they're going to turn around and bitch about the results of Lindsey Graham. We're having fun. We're having fun. U.S. military shoots down Iranian drone approaching USS Abraham Lincoln in Arabian Sea, officials say. Oh, boy. CENTCOM says an F-35C fighter jet from USS Abraham Lincoln shot down Iranian drone in self-defense. Here we go. Here we go. U.S. manufacturing is in retreat, and Trump's tariffs aren't helping. Levies on imports were supposed to bring back a golden age of U.S. manufacturing. They haven't worked so far. Well, if he wasn't prioritizing bad foreign policy, if he wasn't getting yanked around by Israel, then he could probably prioritize, you know, U.S. energy and manufacturing and getting the economy back going. But we have to make sure that Israel gets everything it wants first, and then maybe we can help America. But after we lose the midterms, it'll all be too late anyway, and we'll be totally cooked. But hey, at least Israel got everything it wanted, because that's apparently who runs your country and where you live, guys. But if you say any of that, you are a conspiracy theorist, and there's obviously no evidence. Florida GOP governor candidate created a Tinder account to meet young female voters where they are. This is James Fishback. This is one of the funniest things. I don't know what to think about it. I think James' campaign is hilarious, quite frankly. And by the way, the polls are starting to get interesting. Fishback is rising. He came out and made a pretty epic statement about the Epstein files and arresting anybody who was involved. That's a winning message. Florida Republican gubernatorial candidate James Fishback said Monday he joined the dating app Tinder to meet young female voters in the state. 31-year-old Fishback wrote on the social media platform X that he joined Tinder to, quote, meet young female voters where they are and share my plan to make it easier for them to get married, buy a home, and raise a family. He also shared a screenshot of his Tinder profile on which he said his hottest take is that Florida should offer paid maternity leave to all moms. And when he's able to repatriate all the funds back from Israel that Florida sends there, he could probably actually do that. Wouldn't that be nice to actually give Americans America's money and not to Israelis and Israel for their wars and everything else? That'd be a good idea. I think I like that. And to our $2 super chat king Tay, get your girlfriend on Tinder. You can have a private meeting. Hey, guys, you know what? We're trying new things. Don Lemon claims he had offered to turn himself in before a dozen federal agents dramatically arrested him during Grammy week. I wonder about this. He claimed he offered to turn himself in. Now, normally what happens, I have experience with this, obviously. I've been through it. Normally what happens is you find out you're indicted, and they basically give you a date to turn yourself in by, and then you just go to whatever offices there are. Now, okay, Don Lemon, do you trust him? Probably not. I don't blame you. But, I wonder if I will say this. I've kind of had an unpopular opinion on the Don Lemon thing, and that's okay. But I do wonder, did they do that? Because we don't even have any video of it. So I would say, did they do this for like some morale stunt? Did they do this for some like morale publicity stunt? When he was going to turn himself in? Now, he could be lying about that, so okay. That wouldn't surprise anybody if he just totally lied about it. I don't know. This Department of Justice and Pam Bondi is so incompetent. It's just like, I just don't know what to believe or think anymore, honestly. And if he was going to turn himself in, yeah, I don't know. I mean, hey, for all the you know what that I went through with the Biden administration, they let me turn myself in. And I did my time. I don't know. They all suck. They all suck. Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, son of late Libyan leader, has been killed. You hear that? Gaddafi's son has been killed. Well, you don't want to think everything's connected to everything else, but you do wonder. Hey, do we have any audience in Connecticut? Are you hearing this? A phantom humming has a Connecticut city at its wit's end. West Haven, Connecticut has budgeted $16,000 for an acoustics expert to try to pinpoint the source of a low-frequency disturbance that has disrupted residents' lives. What? Some reached for melatonin for their pets and for themselves. They also downloaded white noise apps. Others resorted to earplugs, but those remedies for the sleep-deprived have offered little respite in one Connecticut shoreline city, where a phantom humming sound has been reverberated persistently in several neighborhoods in recent years. The low-frequency noise, which has drawn comparisons to a kitchen range downdraft or a shop vac, has prompted more than 200 complaints from residents of West Haven, Connecticut, who have struggled to identify the cause. Guys, do I need to fly up there? Do I need to fly up there and get my superhuman, Super Saiyan hearing involved here? Do I have to do everything here? I am curious. Do we have any audience in Connecticut? Are you hearing about this? The city of about 55,000 people, home to part of Yale University's West Campus beaches, industrial facilities, and New Haven style pizza, pronounced beets. Last month, the city council voted to spend $16,000 to hire an acoustics expert to place noise monitoring equipment at several locations to try and solve the mystery. What is going on? This one just has me curious. I must say, guys, somebody tell me what's going on. I want it to be a fun, interesting mystery here, something to distract us from all of the filth and corruption in D.C. Washington state lawmakers join other states in proposing a millionaire tax. Yeah, the Democrats are about to win a bunch of elections, and they're going to increase all your taxes. So just get ready. Just get ready. Research find interaction with the father, not the mother, affects child's health. A long-term study of 292 families linked to father's parenting style to their children's heart health years later. To researchers' surprise, no such link was found with mothers. They have done a lot of studies on this, actually. Not just this study. They found out that in a single-parent household, the child does better with the mother. And now they're finding out that the health is even, in a single-parent household, studies have shown that the child does better with the father. And now they've also found that their health is better with the father. So let's all think about the kids on that one, guys. All right? All right. Good. Whew. Man, that was a busy news day. That was a busy news day, guys. It's time to get to the super chats. I know you guys have been requesting a leftover show. I still got all the leftovers in my desk, but we got too many super chats today. I think we're going to have to pile drive. Oh boy, that's going to get them going. There'll be super chats about the pile drive soon. So here we go. Jennifer starts us off today. Tay, where you at? Your Latina girlfriend has your money. Now she's spending it on Tinder now. Linking up with Fishback. Bob Bickerstaff, we won't relent. Hundreds of new Epstein file victims occurring hour and every day. Yeah, I'm going to do it again tomorrow, guys. I'll just tell you that. We got more for tomorrow. I just can't do a whole hour of it like we did yesterday. So we'll kind of whittle it down until the end of the week, and then we'll see what happens. Tay from Florida. Florida's power grid handled the cold, freeze, and snow well, except you got frozen iguanas everywhere. Rumble, push, notify, block Gino a lot. Well, look, I mean, they got interested in making sure the Bongino show does well and making sure his numbers are as high as possible. But it has to be the most censored comment section in the history of the internet, right? The Dan Bongino show is now the most censored comment section of any show ever on the internet. Latina girlfriend and I double fist blackout coffee. Well, let's hope that's all you're double fisting. If not, you'll end up in the Epstein files. Ben Johnson, can we all agree Trump is guilty as hell? Well, he's guilty of lying. These Epstein files make me sick. I've been sleeping with my rosary. Say your prayers. Owen Schroyer's wifey. Shout out Internet Mommy Sleuths. Okay, I'll shout out the Internet Mommy Sleuths. We dig it. Captain Hard. Democrat and Republican is one big psyop. Our entire life is a psyop. The amount of people in the government and media who don't care kids were abused. Yeah, it's kind of a very telling moment. You know, it can't be said enough, really. And you don't give an F anymore. I'm done and I'm pissed. Yeah, you're not alone. Expose 305. I will make them synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are but the lie. Revelation 3:9. You still don't believe, Owen, in Jesus touches our heart and we will live in the spirit. Romans 2:28-29. So we're quoting some scripture here in the chats today. Molly Pearson, the Peter Thiel connection makes JD unelectable. I think the connection to this administration makes him more unelectable, but definitely some people have an issue with that too. You combine the two and, well, there you go. You hit the same conclusion. Do you find Trump allegations to be credible? Yeah, That's a heavy one. I would say when he says he had no involvement, it's a lie. I'll just say it like that. And to go back to my coverage of the files, I'm covering them. I'm documenting them. I'm not making any accusations. I'm not making any suggestions or allegations. We're just covering them for documentary purposes. You can decide. You can decide about the allegations. There can be fake stuff. Allegations can be faked, all of this stuff. But I don't like how Trump has approached this. I don't like how Trump has handled this. And I don't like the fact that he's lying about this. So that's not a good sign. Logan Misiak, how many of the files do you perceive are artificial and how much truthful? Also, do you trust the FBI to give enough accurate information? Personally, after the lies of Trump and Patel, I don't. How can we? I think that's another issue with trust. And who knows? They could have put fake stuff in there. And maybe that's kind of the big bait and switch at the end of this, is that they're going to say it was all fake stuff put in by the Biden administration. There's going to be another twist to this whole drama. I'm surprised no emails called Epstein Hamas. Somebody will. They're already saying he's Russian. They're already saying he's Muslim. It's hilarious. 13 Anjo Wizard. Mark Levin is a potbelly goblin. He is the potbelly goblin. The Mega Man 095. The release hurt perception of Israel with average Americans even more than before. Do they care, or do they want leverage for more censorship control laws? Yes. I would say yes to both those questions. They always find a way to benefit from their own mistakes. DOJ said it's not a crime to party with Epstein. Yeah, that was Todd Blanche on Fox News. Bibi is as Jewish as I am Nephilim. Who was it that came out? Somebody came out and actually said recently that Poland was the land of the Jews. I don't know if you saw that. Do you guys know who that was? Somebody recently came out and said that Poland was actually the land of the Jews. And I was like, oh, well, that's because everybody knows Netanyahu's Polish now, I guess. See how that one ends up. Miriam Calderon, I don't care about blackmail. Trump is a PDF. Yes, he's a PDF file. Right. No, we understand. I'm not convinced of that. He might have been rubbing shoulders with him. I don't even know if he was aware of it. I don't think he went to the island, but he was definitely partying with Epstein. And he was definitely into whatever women were around Epstein. I think that that's happening. And that's probably why Todd Blanche is now running cover. So it's like they want Trump to bomb Iran. He won't do it. Blanche releases the files. Trump says, please stop. And he says, okay. Oh, Trump was partying with Epstein. It's okay. It's not illegal to party with Epstein. You see how it all goes? Adolf ain't got nothing on Bibi. If you're not a pervert, they can't blackmail you. Well, there's other ways they can do it, but if you're not a pervert, you're not in that category with the shrimp and the cheese and whatever else they're doing. Scotty Gesso, Trump is trans, so is Epstein. Look closer. I wish I was wrong, but trust me, they are all trans. I don't think so. DZ300, I see why Trump blew off the files. He now has to defend protecting these predators since zero arrests. Will the deep state allow him to be impeached? He is doing their work. Biden's economy was better. Now, I disagree with the Biden economy being better. But where's all the Somali daycare fraud arrests? Where's the big fraud arrests in Minnesota? Where's the Epstein files arrest? See what they do? And this is why the MAGA cult and the sycophants, and this is why it's so pathetic. It's like, they all get excited. They're like, we're getting arrests in Minnesota. Nothing happens. And then they just move on to the next thing. Nothing happens. So, but it's all about polishing Trump's knob for them. Jordan Paul, congrats, Owen. Great journalism. Thank you. The video of Anne Hesh shows just how deep this horror goes. Man, that is certainly one right there. The Anne Hesh story. Austrian painter right about the Jays. You're trying to get me in trouble. Jimmy Dean, U.S. is dead. either moral fraudsters, social climbers, and snake oil salesmen. The militant Ionals are just farming slaves to Illinois. No future communism with Register Iboden of Wealth is here. Okay. Soul Clips. Talk about Sasha Riley. Was that somebody from the files? I think I recognize the name. I'm not sure. Jordan Paul. Here's another cup of coffee on me. Hey, thank you. Get your coffee from blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. MAGA is dead. It is also cringe now. That's one way to put it. Gaw, what do you think of the big AI pushers like Altman? I don't like it. I'm Altman's got his own issues, and I think there's actually Altman news in my leftover stack here. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. So Altman, they announced this with GPT. This is Altman. We are starting to test ads in Chat GPT. Okay, so now they're using ads in Chat GPT. Well, guess what? A few years back, he said, I think of ads as like a last resort for our business model. So obviously their business model is failing. Now, remember, this has happened with so many of these different groups that Trump is like, supposedly working with and making all this money and everything else. And then it turns out they don't have the money. Well, it looks like Chat GPT was one of those cases. They just didn't have the money. But I think it might be time to just make all AI illegal. I'm kind of sick of it, to be honest. Trump gave Fauci an award, says Thiel, Ellison, Palantir is good, no arrests, won't fire Bondi, gave millions to AI, day 2 of his administration, supports red flag gun laws, pro 5G, COVID shots, impeach now. By the way, Jeanine Pirro, who I typically like Jeanine, and I think she's overall good and competent. But she went on Fox News and basically said, we'll arrest anybody with a gun in D.C. So now she's totally anti-Second Amendment. Unbelievable to see that. The real Emperor Palpatine. Agitator bots sliming in. Owen is getting bigger. Hey, thank you. Help me grow. Subscribe on YouTube. Give us a follow. Share the show. We always got the agitators in the chats. Are they getting worse? Behaving today. So I'm not going to say what I want to about that beard today. Oh, behave. Todd Blanche is a freak. Alex got mittens. Thank you, Owen. Spot on. It was all a ruse. Supper is ready, sweetheart. Oh, what's for supper? I'm hungry. Net new. Trump impersonation is so good. Who knew? Dinner and a show. Yeah, I do it better than the official Trump impersonators. I do it better than the MAGA cult members that made their entire personality off of impersonating Trump. And that's all they can do, and I can do it better. So they have to be scared. By the way, the individual I'm talking about was attacking me again. Oh, you bury these guys. You bury these guys, and they just come up like zombies. But that's what they were. They were always zombies, and they're just looking for brains because they don't have any. Apparently, Trump just attacked another journalist who asked about Epstein survivors. Nice look. Good look, Trump. That'll help. That'll be good. Yeah, Trump should do a live address attacking the Epstein survivors and calling it a hoax while we're dropping the bombs on Iran. So he can stand there and talk about the Epstein thing being a hoax, attack the survivors, and then have us blowing up Iran in the background. That'll be really good. That's what we need. Ida Tobear, just throwing in my vote for a team up with David Knight. All right, I didn't know we were voting on that. Right-wing version of TDS, Trump delusion syndrome. Trump obsession syndrome, maybe might be more accurate. Moist dry hump. Your show got my boomer father to pull the MAGA glasses off and take a step back. I play your show for my boomer union brothers on the Bluetooth speaker. They're coming around as well. Where do you guys work? Where does moist dry hump work? You guys think that's funny? When I say moist dry hump on the air, do you guys get a laugh out of that? We want to make your days enjoyable at work. So maybe at least you can get a little moist, dry hump laugh. You know, I do appreciate that, though. We try to just cut it down the middle. We try to make it presentable, consumable, understandable. You know, reach your own conclusions politically, but that's what we do. We just do political play-by-play here. That's all. That's all. When liberals fight harder for illegals than they do for American citizens, it really locks me right back up to the two-party political paradigm prison. Yeah, I know. I know what you're saying. And that's why the whole Don Lemon thing has also done the same thing. So it's like, here's the dumbass liberals protesting again. Here's the dumbass liberals, you know, stopping ICE from deporting violent criminals and child molesters. It's like, oh boy, here's the dumbass libs again. It's like, good God. I don't want to deal with them. That's why I want Pam Bondi to get them off the streets. But okay. But then it's with the Don Lemon thing. It's like, oh my gosh. The Trump administration arrested a journalist. How can they do this? The Trump administration, it's against free speech. It's against the First Amendment. Oh, but you guys were silent when the Biden administration was doing that. Yeah, you guys suck. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Latina girlfriend, 27, born in Florida, passes as white. We'll get her on Tinder. She'll meet up with our new governor down there, Fishback. Michael Maine. You're the man. I called in a few years ago, and I told you I never miss your show, and you went into the tunnel of love. The tunnel of love? Still true. I always tune in every day when I'm working, wiring houses. God bless. Hope you remember. The tunnel of love. I'm trying to remember. Are we talking about the, I used to do a bit, I think. I'm drawing a blank. Moist dry up, waiting on a nice overtime check to load up on some Win Network merch. OwenSchroyer.store. OwenSchroyer.store. This shirt, though, is gone. This is a limited edition shirt. No longer there, I'm sorry to say. Anti-Goyism is a bigger threat to our country. Anti-Goyism, eh? Are you guys using goy yet as your pejorative with your friends? You stupid goy. How are all my goyim? How are all my goyim today? I believe goy is the singular and goyim is the plural. So how am I goyim today? Start rapping, start a new rap album. We'll use goy and goyim. Abort all foreign aid, America only. Yeah, why is it so hard? It's like we just can't do it. And you know what's even worse about it? We pay the foreign aid and then we pay the interest on the foreign aid. It's like, why don't they just take out their own loans? It's like, why don't they just take out their own loan for their own aid and then they pay the interest? No, we take out the loan, we give the foreign aid, and then the American people are the middleman stuck with the bill and the interest rate. It's so unbelievable. Imagine thinking Thomas Massey is a rhino. It's so clown world, man. It's like, it is the most clown world thing. James Fishback created a tender account. Alan Alsama, thank you for the great report. Question, do you like the song Feel for Robbie Williams? I'll have to listen to that. I don't know if I've heard it. Feel by Robbie Williams? Not like the great Robin Williams, who maybe his joke about Trump some years back was actually true. Can't be mad at the judge. Everyone else is doing corrupt crap. Why should he be left out of the party? Stephen Miller is also an Israeli puppet. I like Stephen Miller. I do. I think he shows effective leadership. I'd rather have him running things than some of these other bimbos that are out there. So I don't know. I don't really see him showing any loyalty to Israel. I don't see any overt loyalty to Israel from Stephen Miller. But I understand the concern. You have the hands of a Roman god. Well, I don't know how you would know that. Would you like to sculpt them? You can sculpt them. In fact, you should just do. I should have somebody should sculpt me. Somebody should sculpt me like a Greek sculpture or like David or something. LA Patriot. Hey, Owen, did you happened to watch High Impact Vlogs hit piece on you. He said you're the original pom-pom waving high kick Trump cheerleader. Oh, yeah. Well, it's fair criticism. I'm okay with that. I mean, I can't deny it. I was a big Trump supporter. I don't deny it. I think it actually gives me more weight in the conversation that my MAGA rap sheet is about as good as anybody's. So I'm not trying to pretend to be something I wasn't, but I'm also not pretending to be something I'm not. I've been here before Trump. I'll be here after Trump. I've always called it as I see it. And, I actually pushed back on Trump in 2020 and 2021 plenty because of what he did to us with the lockdowns and the vaccines and not stopping the stolen election. So I've always called it as I see it. I mean, what was I supposed to do? Go vote for Harris or what? I mean, so, okay. So Trump ended up not doing what he said he was going to do. All right. A typical politician. I have no problem with the guy who does those videos. People attack me now. I view that as a positive. Honestly, I do. And I have no problem with him. I think mostly his criticism is fair enough. And I think he tries his best to figure out this crazy world. So I don't take it personally. And I don't think it comes from a place of malice like some of these other crooks out there, some of these other phonies and some of these other frauds. I don't think he comes from a bad place with it. But no, I see all these people attacking me now, doing entire shows based off of me and videos and everything else. And I think it's very endearing. So he can keep doing it as far as I'm concerned. I think it's all fair. I don't take anything in politics personally. And so, yeah. We both follow each other on X. I see him post the videos, and so that's fine. I have no problem with it. My son gets processed food when he is with his mother. With me, he gets real meat and fresh veggies. Oh, well. Were you guys part of that study? Tina Nick. Oh, this is she's from Finland here. This is a follower from Finland here. I'm going to butcher your name, Tina. I think I'm just going to say Tina at the risk of butchering it. Finnish Truth Party leader Joanna Kavonius is seeking asylum in Oslo, Norway from political persecution in Finland. Can you support her? Well, I really don't know what you want me to do. I'm not really involved in European politics or affairs. We can give her a shout out, highlight her story. Joanna Kavonius. I mean, I guess we can look into it as a potential guest, but I don't really, no offense to our friends and allies and great people in Europe, but I don't really delve into your guys' issues too often, unless they're somehow affiliated or adjacent to ours. So we can look into that maybe, but we can highlight the case. So there you go. We appreciate our European audience, though. We really appreciate that. Tuning in from Finland. That's awesome. Thank you, Tina. Red Light Meat and Pizza. Did you see O'Keefe's new video about Minnesota? I did. But, it didn't make the final news today because it's like, didn't we already know that? Didn't I already say that? Of course, there's not going to be any arrests. There never are. But for those that are wondering, O'Keefe got an undercover video of a Fed saying, we're not going to arrest anybody in Minnesota for the fraud. So, yeah. But to me, it was like we already knew that, but O'Keefe just gets triple confirmation as he usually does. KO Surge, most corrupt administration, Trump is guilty. Well, people are starting to reach that conclusion. It's all over the place now. Employee strong for life. Please consider bringing in someone who can seriously help us guide the people who don't care or say you can't do anything anyway. I tried several methods, and last night I lost my shit with my husband. Well, I'm not really sure how to tackle that. This is what I always say. If you're asking the question, you're on the right path. But there is no universal answer. What can I do? What needs to be done? What can we do? There is no universal answer. The fact that you're asking the question is the first step, but you have to answer it. I can't answer the question for you. You have to answer it. Now, for me, the question was answered pretty easily for me. I was already in media. I was already on the radio. So I said, oh, I need to change my media career. I need to change my broadcast career. I need to go into news and politics. I need to get out of sports, and I need to do news and politics. So here we are. So for me, it was easier. And I could do a little protest here and there and, do other content, street content, whatever, some activism. But that, for me, that was my answer. That's not going to be everybody's answer. There's different answers for everybody that asks the question, but you have to answer the question. But the fact that you're asking the question is the right step. And not everything happens immediately either. You got to consider that too. Not everything happens overnight. What are your thoughts on Sean Ryan's recent post from some Christian church in Missouri? I think is where it was at. Well, it sounds like I did cover that earlier. I covered that in the second hour. So we did a pretty lengthy coverage of that. So I don't want to get back into it. But I think it looks like the case he was talking about, or either he got sued in Tennessee because that's where he's located, so they can sue you in your jurisdiction. But Missouri and the Midwest are like the mainstays of where the CHOQ camp runs its operations. It started in Branson, Missouri. It was very popular for me growing up in Missouri. I might have even gone to that camp. But I'm not going to, I don't want to go back down that road. So I already shared those thoughts. I think it's going to be an interesting case. I think that Sean handled his rebuttal well, and then let's see what they do in response. Trump is ungrateful. You were one of first true MAGAs. Like I said, it's not about me. It's not. I honestly don't take anything in politics personally, guys. I really don't. It's not about me. I'm a fighter for truth, and I always will be. But this is what I say, when this stuff gets brought up. I just say, look, for all of these sycophants that are talking a big game right now, these are sunshine patriots. These are people who will only play when it's easy to win. They're never going to play when it's hard to win. They're never going to take a big challenge. They only play now because it's easy to win, and they're probably getting paid to do it. So let's just see. When the going gets tough for Trump, which it's inevitably going to, maybe worse than ever, depending on the midterms. When the going gets tough for Trump, let's see. Let's see who stands up for him. Let's see who stands up at the impeachment hearings. Let's see who stands up at the Capitol. Let's see who organizes and activates people in the streets. Let's see. Let's see who goes and shuts down all the Trump haters. Let's see. Let's just see all these sunshine patriots that have it nice and easy right now. Nice and easy in the beautiful sun at the beach right now supporting Trump. Let's just see when the weather gets tough, when the storm comes in, when the harsh winter breeze freezes everyone. Let's see how they stand. Let's just see. And to those that have been following me, in the very beginning stages of this, to those that have been following me, in the very beginning stages of this, you guys know what I said. In the early stages of watching the MAGA split, in the early stages of Trump starting to insult his base, what did I say? I warned President Trump. I said, Mr. President, if you think any of these sunshine patriots that are now so loud and proud and everything else to support you, if you think any of them will be there to fight for you when the going gets tough, you got another thing coming. And I guess we'll find out. Shout out to the local 264 KC Mo laborers. Shout out, guys. We love you. Hot Wheels 81. Nothing is going to happen. Trump is the Trojan horse. For what? Didn't you get a Trump tattoo in honor of Roger Stone getting a Nixon tattoo? Would you like to find out? Easy, ladies. Owen Schroyer's wife needs to put a photo of himself in the profile picture. Enough talk. Let's see the goods. Here we go. It's getting spicy as we close out the super chat. Hey, Pam, arresting criminals isn't a flex. That's your job. You want to flex, arrest the deep state. Otherwise, shut the F up. Big Don. Great way to close out the show. Great way to close out the show right there. Because that's the response. Oh, you know, we arrested these criminals. We stopped these drugs. Also, it's like, that's your job. It'd be like if it's like my job is I host a 3-hour show. Okay. So that'd be like me saying, hey, I hosted a 3-hour show. It's like, well, that's your job. If I did a 5-hour show and then a debate afterwards, then you're like, oh, okay, you've gone above. You've gone above and beyond. You did almost 2 bonus hours and a debate. Wow, okay. No, I don't come on here and I don't need to, oh my gosh, you know, what an incredible job. I did my 3-hour show. That's my job. That's what you tune in to get. That's my job. That's what I do. I do a 3-hour show. That's the expectation. That's my job. I deliver. If I do a 5-hour show in a debate, then I've gone above and beyond, haven't I? So it's like they want to make all of these claims like, oh, but look, we did this, we did that. That's your job. Arrest the deep state. The expectation that we had, the expectation that you presented was that you were going to go above and beyond. You were going to get the deep state arrests. We were going to save the country. We were going to get the permanent reform, and we haven't had it. So that'd be like me saying, all right, guys, tomorrow I'm going to do 5 hours of a live show, and then I only do 3. That'd be a letdown. That'd be a letdown. All right, final one. We got one bonus one. Final one. Mary McEleven. I'm 67 and never saw our country becoming so criminally corrupt, a government so sexually perverted and owned by Israel. Frankly, I don't know how to handle it at times. All right, Mary. All right. It's okay, Mary, because you're in the right place. You are in the right place to handle it, to understand it, to perceive it, to vent. If you need to vent, you can vent. But you know what, Mary? You bring me hope, actually. And maybe it's good we closed out with your chat instead, because you bring me hope. Because if you can figure it out, even at 67 years old, when so many people can't, that gives me hope. So Mary brings us a little hope when we sign off. How about that? A little hope from Mary. We thank you, Mary. We thank you. All right, guys. Another 3 hours in the books. We do have an Ask the Doctor show tomorrow at noon, making up for missing Dr. Diaz last week. So we got Dr. Diaz tomorrow. Get excited for this, guys. You ready for this? Tomorrow, in the second hour, we will be joined by the one and only Liz Crokin. That's right. We'll be talking Pizzagate. We will be talking Epstein files with the one and only Liz Crokin on tomorrow's Owen Report second hour. Don't miss it. Godspeed and God bless.